Chapter 121. The Ninja World in Chaos. Soon, a week passed. During this week, all parties have been stepping up preparations for war. The Sand Village is preparing for a possible counterattack by Konoha. In the war with Kirigakure that ended not long ago, Sand Village not only failed to gain enough benefits, but it almost lost everything. If they didn't have a gold miner like Raza, the war compensation demanded by Kirigakure alone would be enough to make the Sand Village suffer, so they tried their best to defeat Konoha. After hearing the news that the Hidden Cloud Village attacked the Whirlpool Country and the Hidden Sand Village attacked Konoha, the shrewd third Otsutsuki Onoki finally took the Hidden Rock Village. The Hidden Rock Village troops were divided into two groups. One group went straight to the Rain Country and fought with the Hidden Cloud Army stationed in the north of the Rain Country. The other group went directly to the Fence-Sitter Grass Country and headed straight for the Fire Country. On the Rain Village side, since the Uegakure that was about to take action was blocked by the Kumigakure that Hanzo had the foresight to invite, the Rain Village was preparing for battle with all its strength, seeking an opportunity for a decisive battle with Konoha Village. Konoha is now fighting against the Rain Village, the Sand Village, and the Uegakure at the same time. Hanzo is confident that they, the Rain Village, have a great chance of winning against one-third of Konoha. Konoha was in a worse situation. While it was constantly sending reinforcements to the Rain Village front, teams of ninjas kept setting off for the Fire-Rain border. At the same time, Konoha was also mobilizing for a war to launch a counterattack against the Sand Village and to block the invasion of the Iwa Village from the Fire Country. Konoha's huge war machine was finally fully operational at this time, and its war potential was fully stimulated. As for the Hidden Cloud Village, their ninja troops were also divided into two groups. One group was led by the Eight Tails Jinchuriki Burahai in the Rain Country, confronting the troops from the Hidden Cloud Village who entered the Rain Country. The ninjas in the Hidden Cloud Village were also continuously reinforcing the battlefield in the Rain Country. The Hidden Cloud Village and the Hidden Cloud Village were already angry at this time. The other group was led by the 3rd Raikage AI, who was attacking the barrier of the Uzushio village in the Whirlpool Country, trying to quickly destroy the Uzumaki clan, obtain the sealing technique, and then reinforce another battlefield as soon as possible or directly send a surprise force to attack the land of Earth. The Uzumaki clan is worthy of being the strongest family in the ninja world in terms of sealing techniques. Relying on the various sealing techniques inherited, they have been able to withstand the fierce attacks of the Hidden Cloud Village for a week. No matter whether it was the Hell Stab, One-Handed Hand, known as the strongest spear by the 3rd Raikage AI, or the various combination of lightning-style ninjutsu of the Hidden Cloud Ninja forces, they were all blocked one by one by the barrier of the Uzushio village. However, the Uzumaki clan inside the barrier was not feeling well either. Many ninjas who took turns guarding the barrier were injured by the recoil force transmitted by the barrier, and many ninjas fell into a coma because a large amount of chakra was extracted in an instant to maintain the barrier. Uzumaki Ashina estimated that under the current situation, the Uzumaki clan could only hold out for about 10 days at most. This was because the Uzumaki clan was born with extremely large chakra and vitality. If they did not receive reinforcements from Konoha within these 10 days, the barrier would not be able to hold out. Secretly, Uchiha Madara has also quietly arrived in the land of whirlpools, and is lurking, observing the situation in the land of whirlpools. At the same time, he is also preparing to find an opportunity to attack the 3rd Mizukage and complete his plan to control the 3rd Mizukage and even the Hidden Mist Village. The entire ninja world and the mainland area are now in chaos. Only the Water Country and the Hidden Mist Village far overseas are the only forces that have not yet participated in the war. They have merely established forward camps in the Whirlpool Country. Damn Konoha! Damn the 3rd Hokage! In Uzushio village, the Uzumaki clan's patriarch and elders were having a meeting together. How dare they betray the covenant? There was a lot of noise in the meeting room, with angry voices constantly coming out, accompanied by the sound of tables being smashed into pieces. In the last Ninja World War, we supported Konoha to win the war at all costs and paid everything we could, but what was the result? An elder of the Uzumaki clan asked angrily. Did they eat up all the promises that the Senju clan made to us? This was another elder who was already angry. Oh, how ironic! The symbol of our Uzumaki clan is still on the ninja vests of Konoha. Ally? Only naive people would believe in an alliance. There are only interests between ninja villages. An elder said self-deprecatingly at this time. It is obvious that Konoha needs our Uzumaki clan to disappear. Where is Lord Mito? Why doesn't even Lord Mito help us? Another elder's tone was full of resentment. We shouldn't have believed Konoha's lies and sent Kushina, the most talented member of the clan, to Konoha," said an elder with a tone full of regret. At this time, a rather calm elder stood up and asked Uzumaki Ashina, "How did the third Hokage respond to us?" Uzumaki Ashina smiled bitterly and shook his head. He didn't expect that the ominous premonition he had after listening to King C's analysis would actually become a reality, and everything that happened was unbelievable for him. "Huo, you go and tell the elders." Uzumaki Ashina called the tribesmen who went to Konoha for help. He really didn't have the face to tell the truth himself. "We didn't even see the third Hokage." Uzumaki Fire's tone was filled with sorrow, and what he said shocked all the Uzumaki elders. "When we arrived near Konoha village, we happened to meet the Hokage's assistant, Shimura Danzo. He said he was Tobirama's disciple, so we easily believed him. But I didn't expect that he was so full of malice towards our Uzumaki clan. He promised to take us to see the third Hokage immediately, but ended up trying to kill us halfway." Uzumaki Fire continued. "What? How dare he?" The elders could no longer suppress their emotions and burst out. In fact, Kyoji did not expect Danzo to be so ruthless. His original intention was just to let Danzo delay the Uzumaki ninjas who went to ask for help or simply detain them, but he did not expect Danzo to kill them directly, and this was when Uzumaki Mito was still alive. Danzo was simply committing a crime against the wind. Chapter 122. The four of us were caught off guard. Uncle Xiang died on the spot. Uncle Jun blocked the fatal blow for me and died soon after. Only Uncle Hao and I escaped the first wave of attacks. In the end, it was Uncle Hao who burned his life force and used the diamond seal to open a gap and took me all the way back to the Whirlpool Kingdom. After setting foot on the land of the Whirlpool Kingdom, Uncle Hao also returned to the Pure Land. Uzumaki Fire was already in tears when he said this. Damn it! This Danzo Shimura deserves to die. The elders of the Uzumaki clan were thinking of eating Danzo alive. Cough cough cough. At this time, Uzumaki Ashina cleared his throat and said, "In fact, we should be thankful that Danzo Shimura failed in the end and let fire escape successfully. He broke the illusions we had about Konoha, and allowed our clan to have enough time to find a new path." He was now somewhat thankful that the Hidden Mist Village gave the Uzumaki clan a choice other than destruction. A new way. The elders were discussing with each other. They didn't know, having come to this point, what other good way out their clan could have, and what other good ideas their clan leader could come up with. At this time, Kyoji also received the message from Danzo Shimura. After reading it, Kyoji couldn't help but laugh. Danzo Shimura even boasted about his actions in the letter. Little did he know that his actions gave Kyoji and the Hidden Mist Village a perfect assist. If none of the people sent by the Uzumaki clan to Konoha came back, then the Uzumaki clan would definitely still hold a glimmer of hope for Konoha. Perhaps until the Hidden Cloud Village breaks through the Uzushio Village, CG will not get the result he wants. In the end, the Hidden Mist Village can only helplessly act together with the Hidden Cloud Village, jointly destroy the Uzumaki clan and then divide the sealing technique. However, Danzo failed, allowing Uzumaki Fire to successfully escape back to the land of whirlpools to report the news, which made the bet between CG and Uzumaki Ashina come to fruition. However, this was also within King C's expectations. He never believed in Shimura Danzo's ability to do things. Judging from the final result, although Danzo made a mistake in this matter, he accidentally brought huge wealth to CG. Maybe this is fate. And Lord Danzo is indeed worthy of being a good friend of the Hidden Mist Village. Although things were not done well, he actually helped boost the actions of the Hidden Mist Village. The world is so wonderful. King C has already decided that in the future he must cooperate more with this evil Danzo who never has anything to do with anyone. What a perfect partner he is. In fact, it's nothing more than cutting off an arm to survive, but at least we can preserve the seeds of our Uzumaki clan. Uzumaki Ashina said bitterly, I used Kagura's mind's eye to sense that there are a large number of Kirigakure ninjas in the southern part of the Whirlpool country. Their third Mizukage has also come. I guess they have reached some kind of agreement with Kirigakure and want to divide up our Uzumaki clan. However, the Kirigakure village took the initiative to contact me a few days ago. Although they did not clearly state their intentions, I think they plan to take some of our clansmen back to Kirigakure. In the past week, they have not followed Kirigakure to attack the village. This is their expression of sincerity. Otherwise, our Uzumaki clan would probably no longer exist under the simultaneous attack of Kirigakure and Kirigakure. What? How can it be? Kirigakure is clearly taking advantage of someone's misfortune. No. We absolutely do not agree. Even if my Uzumaki clan is exterminated, I will never go to Kirigakure. That's right. The Hidden Mist Village definitely has bad intentions. They definitely want to use us for human experiments or force us to become Jinkriki. After hearing what clan leader Uzumaki Ashina said, the scene became chaotic again. All the elders spoke out in opposition, even the relatively calm elder Uzumaki expressed his opposition. Shut up! Uzumaki Ashina suddenly shouted, instead of arguing here, why don't you think about whether there is any other way out for our Uzumaki clan? Kirigakure is the only one who has a chance to save us now. Do you really want to end the 1000-year heritage of the Uzumaki clan and destroy the entire clan before you are satisfied? Uzumaki Ashina was extremely angry at this time. This bunch of pedantic elders were incompetent at anything and were the first to hinder others. However, what some elders said were not unreasonable. All their behaviors were based on their own interests. Kirigakure was not a charity. How could they accept the Uzumaki clan for no reason? Uzumaki Ashina's heart was also shrouded in a shadow at this time. It seemed that the next time the Kirigakure ninja came again, he would have to have a frank talk with them. I know that all of you have devoted your entire lives to our Uzumaki clan, and you are all determined to resist to the end and to die for the cause. But please think carefully, if we don't leave some seeds now, the name of the Uzumaki clan will disappear in the ninja world in the future. Uzumaki Ashina suppressed his anger and spoke to the elders word by word. Anyway, this matter is settled. If you disagree, I will execute it alone with the power of the clan leader. Uzumaki Ashina was determined and showed his skill as the clan leader. He had seen a glimmer of hope and hoped to leave seeds for the Uzumaki clan to revive again. As for these old antiques who were behind the times, they would be buried with the Uzumaki clan. After searching for a long time, I still couldn't find a clear statement as to whether Uzumaki Kushina went to Konoha before or after the destruction of the Uzumaki country. Judging from the timeline, both statements have their own reasons. Let's first assume that he was sent to Konoha at the request of Uzumaki Mito before the destruction of the Whirlpool country. According to the comics, Uzumaki Kushina became the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki during the Second and Third World Wars, which was when she was between 12 and 16 years old. The corresponding timeline is between the 36th year of Kirigakure and the 40th year of Kirigakure. After all, she was not yet a Jinchuriki when she was captured by Kumigakure. There is also the issue of Nagato. Kishimoto did not clearly explain why Nagato's family fled to the Rain Country, but judging from the fact that his father became a doctor in the Hidden Rain Village, they must have been in the Rain Country for quite some time. Nagato's mother, Fuzu, was from the Uzumaki clan whose surname was Hidden. If she went to the Hidden Rain Village after the destruction of the Uzumaki country, many timelines would not match. As mentioned before, Nagato's own timeline is already clear, so I can only follow my own settings first. Nagato's mother did not flee to the Rain Country because of the destruction of the Whirlpool country, but came to the Rain Country for some reason before that. Chapter 123. Just when the Uzumaki clan was in a state of panic, the offensive of the Hidden Cloud Village became more fierce. It seemed that their spies should have also reported that Konoha had not sent any ninjas to reinforce the land of whirlpools recently. Although the details were unknown, this was great news for the Hidden Cloud Village. Without Konoha's interference, they can be more unscrupulous, so they keep urging the Hidden Mist Village to join them in destroying the Uzumaki clan as soon as possible. And Kiyoshi also felt that the time was right. He believed that Uzumaki Ashina, as the clan leader, should have made his choice by now. So, late at night, Kiyoshi entered Uzushio village again and came to Uzumaki Ashina's home. Seeing Uzumaki Ashina sitting upright and looking at him with burning eyes, Kingsi knew that it should be safe. "Ninja from the Kirigakure, I have been waiting for you for a long time," Uzumaki Ashina said lightly. After Kiyoshi left last time, he strengthened the function of the Uzushio village barrier in sensing space fluctuations. Therefore, when Kiyoshi used Takamaji Ehara to enter the Uzushio village, Uzumaki Ashina knew it immediately. "With your strength, your status in the Hidden Mist village should be quite high, right? Since we want to cooperate, should you let me know your identity?" Uzumaki Ashina did not give Kiyoshi a chance to speak and continued to ask. Hearing what Uzumaki Ashina said, CG couldn't help but smile bitterly under the mask. He was indeed negligent in this matter. Although he was now powerful enough to be fearless of the Kagaya clan, before he took revenge on his enemy Kagaya Musashi, Wearing a mask to hide himself had become a habit. However, Kyoji didn't know that Kagaya Musashi had actually almost confirmed his identity. In the Battle of Rain Country, the 7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist Village became famous in one battle, and their basic information had basically spread throughout the ninja world. Even the Kagaya clan, who usually had no contact with the village, learned the news. Especially when Kagaya Musashi learned that the captain of the 7 ninja swordsmen was named Kyoji and had the ability of Corpse Vein. Kagaya Musashi, who once regarded the Genji as a serious threat, immediately realized Kyoji's identity. However, at present, CG is not in Kirigakure or even in the Land of Water, so Kagaya Musashi has not taken any action and has been silently preparing in secret. Kyoji slowly took off his mask, revealing his handsome yet enchanting face. Well then, Ashina-senpai, let's formally meet each other. The Jonin of the Hidden Mist Village, Otsutsuki Kyoshi. Otsutsuki? A strange last name, but I seem to have heard it somewhere. Uzumaki Ashina didn't speak for a while, lowered his head slightly, and fell into deep thought. Suddenly, he seemed to remember something, raised his head and looked at CG, his pupils slightly contracted. The Uzumaki clan has been passed down in the ninja world for thousands of years. Although their history has been lost in the continuous conquests, they have the distant relative the Senju clan as an ally. They themselves are not aggressive, and they have a very powerful sealing technique inheritance. In addition, they live on a small island in the land of whirlpools which is not fertile and has few resources. Therefore, few ninjas would provoke them. Therefore, some rather secret information is passed down orally among the successive patriarchs of the Uzumaki clan. Uzumaki Ashina had an impression of the surname Otsutsuki. When he succeeded as the patriarch of the Uzumaki clan, the previous patriarch told him some secrets of their clan, including the origin of their bloodline and the surname of the common ancestor of their clan and the Senju clan, which was Otsutsuki. In fact, I think that information about the origin of a clan should be recorded in the long-standing ninja clan, but it was lost for various reasons, or it may be known only to a limited range of people, such as the sudden death of the previous clan leader, and the information was not passed down in time. For example, the Uchiha clan has a stone tablet that records various secret information, although it was tampered with by Black Zetsu. However, this memory was too old, and decades had passed, and Uzumaki Ashina had never heard of the name Otsutsuki in the ninja world. So, when CG mentioned Otsutsuki, Uzumaki Ashina felt that she had heard of this name at first, and then searched for relevant information deep in her memory. Otsutsuki CG. I understand. Although Uzumaki Ashina was shocked in his heart, he did not show it on his face. However, at this moment, he had completely made up his mind. CG, who had the same surname as his ancestor, entrusted the younger generations of the Uzumaki clan to him, which must have a good result. However, he still decided to give it one last try. Kyoji-kun, I will call you that. Uzumaki Ashina continued, I have one last question. Have you ever heard of the name Yi? Kingxi's heart skipped a beat, and then he suddenly realized that since the Hyuga clan could pass down some information about their ancestors, it made no sense for the Uzumaki clan, who were also descendants of the Otsutsuki clan, to have no records of these. Kingxi understood the hidden meaning of Uzumaki Ashina and knew what Uzumaki Ashina wanted to ask, but he did not give a direct answer. Instead, he said something that sounded irrelevant. The name of the ancestor is Otsutsuki Hamura. Hago Romo. Hamura. Uzumaki Ashina's expression became serious, and he also understood what CG wanted to express. What Uzumaki Ashina wanted to test was whether the surname Kingxi was really related to his ancestor, and what Kingxi wanted to express was that you can rest assured, my Uzumaki people, you see, the name of my ancestor is almost the same as yours, with only one character different. Well, CG-kun, the cooperation is achieved. I hope you can treat the members of my Uzumaki clan well. Uzumaki Ashina slowly closed his tired eyes, and his mind and eyes opened at the same time. Don't worry, Senior Ashina, the Hidden Mist Village will treat the Uzumaki clan well, and the Hidden Mist Village will fulfill all reasonable requests of the Uzumaki clan. Kyoji made his promise. With the perception of Kagura's mind's eye, Uzumaki Ashina knew clearly that what Kyoji said was not false at all, but all true. In addition, she sensed that Kyoji's powerful strength did not belong to the third Mizukage, and no matter what, Kyoji could barely be considered a distant relative of her family. With multiple guarantees, Uzumaki Ashina finally felt relieved. Chapter 124. I'm really sorry, after I finished writing, I forgot to set the scheduled release, and then I realized that today's 2 chapters were not published. I'm sorry everyone. In that case, then I thank you in advance. Uzumaki Ashina said with all his doubts gone, and at the same time, he formed a special seal with his hands. A transparent ripple swept across, and the barrier covering the next room slowly opened, revealing a dozen Uzumaki members who were waiting inside. Among these Uzumaki clan members, all were children under the age of 12, and there were even a few babies. The older Uzumaki clan members finally decided to stay in the village and fight a decisive battle with the Hidden Cloud village. I have already discussed with the tribesmen in advance. These are the people who are willing to leave with you. There is no time to lose, you should set off now. Uzumaki Ashina said to Kingxi, suppressing the pain in his heart. Kingxi was speechless. As expected of the Uzumaki clan leader who had experienced turbulent times, he had never mentioned the specific content of the cooperation with Uzumaki Ashina. These were all Uzumaki Ashina's own guesses and actions based on the guesses. However, it had to be admitted that his approach avoided Kingxi from proposing a specific plan himself, because the Hidden Mist village could not accept adult Uzumaki clan members. Kingxi's original plan was to accept some Uzumaki clan babies or children and rebuild an Uzumaki clan in the Hidden Mist village. Those Uzumaki clan members who already have mature cognition, coupled with the clan annihilation hatred between them and the Hidden Cloud village, find it almost impossible to integrate into the Hidden Mist village. Only by cultivating them from a young age can a sense of belonging and bond be established between the Uzumaki clan and the Hidden Mist village. Kingxi nodded and said nothing more. His goal had been achieved. With his pure eye opened, Kingxi sent these Uzumaki clan members one by one into his Takamaji Ehara space with a time stop effect, and then activated Takamaji Ehara and prepared to leave. Uzumaki Ashina took out a scroll and handed it to Siji. This is the inheritance of all the sealing techniques of our Uzumaki clan. I'm sorry to bother Siji-kun to keep it for you. This can be regarded as an advance payment to Siji-kun for taking care of our Uzumaki clan. Kingxi's gradually blurred figure suddenly paused, and then became clear again. He thought that Uzumaki Ashina had passed on the inheritance of the sealing technique directly to those children, so he did not take the initiative to mention it. Now that he has the people, is he still worried about not being able to get the sealing technique? But he did not expect that Uzumaki Ashina would be so generous and directly choose him to help keep it. Please rest assured, Senior Ashina. Although we in the Hidden Mist village will learn some of the sealing techniques that do not require bloodlines, we will return all the inheritance to the Uzumaki clan. Kingxi once again solemnly promised, also. Although we in the Hidden Mist village crave the power of the Jinkraki, we will not force the Uzumaki clan to take on the responsibility of becoming a Jinkraki. After hearing this, Uzumaki Ashina nodded with satisfaction. His final kindness was rewarded after all, and he also believed that he was not wrong about Kyoji's character. If the truthfulness of what Kyoji said could really deceive Kagura's perception of the mind, then he would accept it. Uzumaki Ashina waved his hand, indicating that Kingxi could leave. Kingxi stared at the old man with grey hair, then bowed and disappeared on the spot. Oh! I hope my choice is right, and my Uzumaki clan can continue its bloodline under his protection. Uzumaki Ashina sighed heavily, and then his eyes became firm. The only thing left is the Hidden Cloud village. Even if I risk my life, I will not let you have an easy life. When Kingxi returned to the Kirigakure camp, he immediately went to see the third Mizukage Bing who was still waiting for him and informed him of the good news. The third Mizukage Bing was very happy to learn that the plan was successful. This not only meant that the Hidden Mist village not only obtained the coveted sealing technique, but would soon have the 3 Tails Jinchuriki and 6 Tails Jinchuriki who could fight on the battlefield, but also meant that the Hidden Mist village had also gained a powerful ninja clan that was proficient in sealing techniques, although this ninja clan still needed time to develop and grow. So, that night, under the urgent order of the third Mizukage Bing, everyone in the Kirigakure village prepared to pack up and go back home. As for the Kumigakure, let them have fun on their own. We in the Kirigakure have already gotten what we wanted, so we won't keep them company. And Kingxi also took the lead under Bing's order. He wanted to send the Uzumaki clan back to the Hidden Mist village to settle them down. The White Zetsu clone, who had been monitoring the movements of the Hidden Mist village nearby, quickly reported this information to Uchiha Madara, who was already in the land of whirlpools waiting for an opportunity to attack the third Mizukage Bing. Although Uchiha Madara didn't understand why the Hidden Mist village suddenly gave up its original plan to join forces with the Hidden Cloud village to attack the Uzumaki clan, it didn't matter to him. He took down the third Mizukage Bing directly during the Hidden Mist Village's retreat. Uchiha Madara has always been a man of great action. After making the decision, he immediately set off for the location of the Kirigakure camp. Although he was confident in his own strength and looked down on those ordinary Kirigakure ninjas whom he regarded as ants, in order to save energy, he could not wait until the third Mizukage and the Kirigakure ninjas retreated to the seaside before taking action. After all, for the third Mizukage and the Kirigakure ninjas, fighting close to the sea and fighting on the island where the land of whirlpools was located were two completely different concepts. Moreover, he was no longer the Shura of the ninja world, but just an old man who relied on the Gaiden demon statue to supply vitality and the white Zetsu coat to maintain his life. The people in Kirigakure still don't know what they are about to face. In order to keep it secret, Bing has not told everyone the specific plan for Kirigakure until now. Most of them are still kept in the dark and think that Bing is really going to lead them to conquer the land of whirlpools. Some of the warlike ninjas even had some complaints, but Bing's prestige had already penetrated into the hearts of all Kirigakure ninjas over the years, so no one stood up to question Bing's decision. Chapter 125. In the early morning, the sky was just beginning to turn pale, and the whole world seemed to be immersed in tranquility. The sky was still grey, but there were signs that the sun was about to rise. The coastline in the distance and the ships that had been waiting for a long time began to become clear in the eyes of the mist ninjas. They stood quietly like the guardians of the earth. It was estimated that they would be able to evacuate from the island where the land of whirlpools was located in a few minutes, but at this moment, Uchiha Madara took action. Originally, the people of the Hidden Mist Village had never thought that they would be attacked in the land of whirlpools, and even the third Mizukage Bing had relaxed his vigilance. However, this was to be expected. With the assistance of Danzo Shimura, a good friend of the Hidden Mist Village, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't even know that something had happened in the land of whirlpools, and didn't send any reinforcements at all. As for the other major force in the land of whirlpools, the Hidden Mist Village, was currently an ally of the Hidden Mist Village, so it was even less likely that they would take action. Moreover, when they were about to reach the coastline, that was the time when everyone in the Hidden Mist Village was most relaxed, so Uchiha Madara took action at this time. The first to appear were the white Zetsu clones, and there were hundreds of them at once. They disguised themselves as Konoha ninjas and emerged from the ground, suddenly launching an attack on the Kirigakure ninjas. Enemy attack! The Kirigakure ninja at the front quickly warned all the Kirigakure ninjas behind him, it's the Konoha ninja. The third Mizukage Bing in the back frowned, and his perception continued to extend to the surroundings. He became suspicious of the identity of the attacking Konoha ninjas, but no matter how he sensed, he did not find any abnormalities in disguise. In his perception, these attackers did not show any signs of using transformation techniques or other disguise-type ninjutsu. Suddenly, a chakra aura that was far more powerful than his and exuded an extremely cold feeling appeared in his perception, and Bing's face suddenly changed. He hurriedly ordered Sato Ying beside him, "Ying, send a message to Kingxi immediately, and ask him to come back quickly for support." Then he said to the other ninja swordsman beside him, "Cooperate with the Anbu, quickly open the gap in front, and retreat immediately." Before he finished speaking, Uchiha Madara's aura had already risen, covering the entire battlefield. The powerful chakra aura was overwhelming and pressing towards the direction of the Kirigakure ninja. The air seemed to have stopped flowing under this oppressive aura. Uchiha Madara, wrapped in a fiai, appeared on the side of the Kirigakure team. His scarlet eyes stared at the Kirigakure ninja who was fighting against the white Zetsu clone. His hands formed the Noon Seal, and destructive chakra gathered in his throat. Fire escaped, the great fire extinguishes. The huge and surging sea of fire swept towards the location of the Kirigakure ninja, leaving no room to escape. When the Kirigakure ninja who were fighting saw this scene, a trace of despair appeared on their faces. The B-level fire-style ninjutsu, in the hands of Uchiha Madara, exerted a power comparable to that of the S-level fire-style ninjutsu. When Bing saw this super-standard fire release, he couldn't help but reveal a trace of fear. He felt something was wrong in his heart. A fire release of this scale and power was not something that an ordinary ninja could perform. The painful memories of the Warring States period slowly emerged from the depths of his memory. Bing's thoughts kept churning, but it did not affect the movements of his hands. Ice escape, ice crystal wall. In order to save the mist ninjas who were fighting with the white Zetsu clones, Bing consumed a large amount of chakra and created a huge ice wall that stretched across the sea of fire. The scorching flames hit the ice wall, and the high temperature continued to melt the ice wall. Mist continued to rise, blocking everyone's sight. But the fog could not hinder the vision of the Sharingan at all. Uchiha Madara instantly appeared in front of Bing and looked at Bing. In his scarlet eyes, the Megatama was spinning rapidly. Sharingan. Bing was shocked. He didn't expect that these attackers were actually from Konoha, but it was too late. When he saw the Sharingan, he had already been hit. Illusion, Sharingan. Bing was caught off guard and was directly controlled by the Sharingan illusion, stopping his attempts to resist. Uchiha Madara nodded in satisfaction. Just the third Mizukage, he was taken down. With the Megatama spinning in his eyes, Uchiha Madara was about to cast further illusion on Bing to control him firmly, but he didn't know that he was happy a little too early. As everyone knows, the third Mizukage Bing has his eyes closed all year round. How could he possibly look Uchiha Madara in the eye? The ice body that was being controlled instantly shattered, and then exploded by the ice that appeared on the side. Ice escape, clone explosion. Under the control of the ice escape chakra, all the ice chips exploded towards Uchiha Madara's direction. It turned out that Bing, who had already guessed it in his heart, had separated out an ice clone while using the ice crystal wall defense, and stood in the original place instead of the original body. And it was that ice clone that was controlled by Uchiha Madara's illusion. In Bing's long fighting career, he had only seen two people who could use this level of fire to extinguish enemies, Uchiha Madara and Uchiha Izuna. Although he didn't know which one was the attacker, he had already been prepared for the Uchiha clan's illusions. Uchiha Madara is still old. If he was the Shura of the ninja world, how could he be hurt by such a little trick as ice? Fortunately, Uchiha Madara was wearing a black coat, otherwise he might have been hurt. As Ah-Fei's coat was constantly repairing itself, Uchiha Madara suddenly laughed out loud, ha 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 ha. This is the feeling of fighting that I haven't felt in a long time. Then he rushed towards the ice again. Although he was old, he was no match for a small Mizukage. However, he did not intend to end the battle immediately. As a battle maniac, he stayed in the underground base all year round. Now he finally had a chance to fight, and he wanted to enjoy the feeling of punching to the fullest. Uchiha Madara punched Bing, but Bing dodged it flexibly. Although Bing knew that his opponent was a ninja from the Uchiha clan, he had not yet realized who it was. In fact, back then, Bing was easily defeated by Uchiha Madara and was severely humiliated by illusion, which left a deep impression on Bing. His eyes were closed all year round and the perception ninjutsu he developed was also to deal with the Uchiha clan's Sharingan. If Uchiha Madara came normally, with Bing's resentment and hatred towards Uchiha Madara, he could easily sense and distinguish Uchiha Madara's identity. But the problem lies in the Afei coat that Uchiha Madara is wearing. Afei's chakra and Uchiha Madara's chakra are mixed together, disrupting Bing's perception and making him unable to recognize Uchiha Madara's identity for a while. Ice escape, ice sword. Bing condensed a sharp ice sword with his backhand and stabbed it directly into Uchiha Madara's heart. However, this was exactly what Uchiha Madara wanted. Bing had kept his eyes closed, which really gave him a headache. Although he could perform illusions without relying on vision, the most effective effect was still the Sharingan illusion activated through eye contact. Moreover, in order to control Bing as his puppet, he had to activate the illusion through eye contact. Chapter 126. Uchiha Madara took the initiative to meet the ice sword and forcibly clamped it with his arm. With the Afei coat, he could fight more wildly. He took advantage of the situation and punched Bing in the face with his other hand, trying to force Bing to open his eyes. At this time, a whistling sound of the air being hit at high speed was heard. It was Yagura, who also had the ability to perceive, who had arrived. Seeing the third Mizukage Bing who was about to be hit in the face, Yagura picked up the coral stick behind him and hit Uchiha Madara's arm hard. Uchiha Madara discovered Yagura as soon as Yagura appeared, and Yagura's movements could not be hidden from the Sharingan. Uchiha Madara released the ice sword and kicked the ice out with one foot. At the same time, he retracted his fist and raised his arm to block Yagura's violent stick. Yagura was shocked. He didn't expect that his coral stick was actually blocked by someone with bare hands. But Yagura didn't stand there in a daze. When his attack failed, he quickly twisted his body in the air and swept the coral stick towards Uchiha Madara. Hat. Uchiha Madara was quite disdainful. He could easily control the Mizukage, let alone a small Jonin. Uchiha Madara simply lowered his body to avoid the sweep, then stood up, raised his right leg, and kneed the falling Yagura hard. Facing Uchiha Madara's knee strike, Yagura had to let go of the coral stick with both hands, raised his arms in front of him to block, and collided with Uchiha Madara's knees. Under the powerful impact, Yagura was knocked away and his body flew backwards uncontrollably. Uchiha Madara rushed forward, and arrived first. He instantly appeared behind where Yagura landed, and punched Yagura in the back. Yagura bleeds profusely from the blow. Uchiha Madara grabbed Yagura's neck and lifted him up. "Do you want to dance too?" At the same time, he glared at Yagura with the 3 Megatama Sharingan and activated the illusion directly. Magic, the art of the flail. In Yagura's spiritual world, his limbs were directly pierced by 4 huge black iron nails, nailing him in place and unable to move. Yagura, who was struggling in Uchiha Madara's hands, also stopped resisting instantly, with his hands hanging down, motionless. Humph! Uchiha Madara snorted coldly and threw Yagura aside. He was too lazy to kill such a weakling in his eyes. Moreover, if he successfully controlled the 3rd Mizukage Bing, then Yagura would be his subordinate. At this time, Bing, who was kicked away by Uchiha Madara, also rushed back. Seeing Yagura who had fallen to the ground, Bing knew that he could not go on like this. He had to move the battlefield, otherwise the Hidden Mist village might suffer heavy losses today. If these elite troops were all wiped out, even with the joining of the Uzumaki clan, the Hidden Mist village would not be able to recover for a long time. The phrase "rise and dance" just now had made him recognize Uchiha Madara's identity. Although he didn't understand why Uchiha Madara, who was shown in the intelligence to have been killed by the first Hokage, Senju Hashirama, would come back to life, but with the outrageous fire escape technique, the Sharingan, and the classic catchphrase "rise and dance," Uchiha Madara's identity was confirmed without a doubt. Water style, Damaixi Yuha. Bing quickly formed hand seals, and a large amount of water continuously spit out from Bing's mouth, carrying Bing and Uchiha Madara away. However, this also suited Uchiha's wishes. He also did not want to expose his identity. Although most of the Kirigakure ninjas should not be able to recognize him, he just wanted to be safe. At this time, Uchiha Madara was already old, and his life was almost coming to an end. He relied on the vitality input from the Outer Path Demon statue to survive. Before he was resurrected and regained his youth, his identity could not be exposed. Although he could maintain a certain combat power with the Afei coat, this was not a long-term solution after all. Uchiha Madara. Bing stood on the water, looking at Uchiha Madara who was wrapped in a white A-lister coat not far away, and revealed his identity, his tone full of solemnity and hatred. "Oh? Did you recognize me?" Uchiha Madara responded. In fact, he also knew that as long as they fought, his identity would not be hidden from the 3rd Mizukage Bing, who knew him well. After all, he had caught Bing and beat him up back then. "Why did you come back to life after being killed by the first Hokage, Senju Hashirama?" Bing asked in confusion. Before the battle, he wanted to get some information from Uchiha Madara. "And why did you come to target our Kirigakure? We in Kirigakure have never provoked you." "Ha ha ha! I have never died." Uchiha Madara laughed wildly and then blurted out the truth. In his opinion, Bing could no longer escape from his palm, so what was the harm in telling him the truth that he was not dead? The 4 laughing men.jpg. Bing's pupil shrank. This answer was beyond his expectation. In the Battle of the Valley of the End, Uchiha Madara was not killed by Senju Hashirama. A cloud of suspicion with a hint of conspiracy shrouded Bing's heart. After a burst of wild laughter, Uchiha Madara gradually calmed down. His old body made him extremely uncomfortable. Although he had the help of the Afei coat, he was still a little overwhelmed in the brief battle just now. Simply put, there were some operations that he could think of, but his body could not do them, so he did not plan to use physical skills anymore. Uchiha Madara put his hands together, interlocked his fingers, and a surge of chakra burst out instantly. Wooden release, the birth of the tree world. The water on the ground had not yet receded, and countless trees broke through the ground, then emerged from the water, and continued to spread towards the ice, forming a forest in an instant. Bing was stunned. Isn't this Madara from the Uchiha clan? How could he use Hashirama Senju's signature wood release ninjutsu? Bing, who had a full understanding of the power of wood release, did not dare to let himself be surrounded by it. He clasped his hands together, and the water on the ground quickly floated up under Bing's control, and then quickly froze. Ice release, ice crystal shuriken. Dense swarms of ice shurikens shot madly towards the spreading trees, but Bing also knew that this move could only block them slightly, so the seals in his hands began to change rapidly. Ice escape, white whale. An extremely huge white ice whale suddenly emerged and slammed into the tree world that was still spreading. The roar of the impact resounded through the sky, and broken ice chips flew all over the sky, sparkling in the morning sun. The tree world also slowed down its spread under this impact. Lord Rakage. A large amount of chakra reaction appeared in the southern part of the land of whirlpools, and a great war broke out. The chakra intensity of both sides in the battle is very high. The collision of the ninjutsu of Bing and Uchihamadara was sensed by the perception ninjas of the Hidden Cloud Village. Very good. The Hidden Mist Village is indeed a good ally. AI exclaimed. He thought that it was the Hidden Mist Village that stopped the Konoha ninjas who came to reinforce. At the same time, Uzumaki Ashina in the Uzushio village also sensed this battle, but he no longer had time to worry about the Uzumaki people who were sent to the Hidden Mist, because the third Rakage AI, who mistakenly thought that his ally was so powerful, had once again ordered the Hidden Cloud Ninja to launch an attack on the Uzushio village. Thinking that Konoha's support had arrived in the land of whirlpools, AI decided to speed up the pace of capturing the Uzushio village. Chapter 127. The white whale slowed down the spread of the tree world, but did not stop it completely. Seeing this, Bing had to continue to make seals. He had some expectations about the power of wood release, but he did not expect that he could not even stop the spread of the tree world after using two powerful ice releases in a row, let alone destroy it. Ice release, multiple icicles. Thick icicles emerged from the air and then crashed into the tree world at high speed. Finally, under the bombardment of Bing's third ice escape, the tree world stopped spreading. At this time, the ground was already littered with broken ice chips. Ha! Hashirama's power is really useful. Uchihamadara lowered his eyes to his chest, as if he could see Hashirama's face on his chest. Hashirama! Wait! I will prove that I am right. Uchihamadara murmured. At the same time as a war broke out between the third Mizukage Bing and Uchihamadara, Kiyoshi, who was in the Hidden Mist village with his grandfather Yuanshi to settle the Uzumaki clan, saw the Anbu Chankin who came to deliver a message. A message has been sent from the shadow. They were attacked by suspected Konoha ninjas near the coastline of Whirlpool country. One of the enemies was extremely powerful. Lord Mizukage requires you to return for support as soon as possible. Jian spoke very quickly, and informed Kingxi of the message in a concise and clear manner as quickly as possible, and then left quickly. He had to quickly arrange for the Anbu ninjas to go to the direction of Whirlpool country to pick up the retreating ninjas. After hearing this, Kingxi frowned slightly, suspected to be a Konoha ninja. Then he began to wonder, could it be that Shimura Danzo is causing trouble? I understand. Ching Si replied, and then said to Master Yuan, Grandpa, I'll go back first. Well, leave this to me. Master Yuan also knew the seriousness of the matter and signaled Kingxi to leave quickly. Kingxi immediately opened his pure eyes, and with the surge of pupil power, the pupil technique Takamaji Ehara was activated. Kingxi's figure disappeared on the spot, and Master Yuan was not surprised at all when he saw this scene. After Kingxi came back last night, he had already told his grandfather Master Yuan about his time and space abilities. At the former Kirigakure camp, Seiji's figure emerged, and then quickly rushed to the place where Bing and Uchihamadara were fighting. Through the pure eye's observation, he had already recognized that the person fighting with his own Mizukage was the old Uchihamadara. Although the A-Fei coat disturbed the perception, it could not be hidden from the pure eye. Coupled with the cold pupil power that was very similar to Indra in his memory, CG instantly locked on Uchihamadara's identity. The blood in Kingxi's body began to boil. Kingxi, who had the ability of time and space, could not defeat Uchihamadara, but Uchihamadara would not be able to stop his retreat. Besides, Uchihamadara had become an old man, and his samsara eye had been transplanted into Nagato's eyes. In this state, Uchihamadara was an excellent opponent for Kingxi. Uchihamadara! Here I come! The battle between Bing and Uchihamadara continued. After Bing blocked the tree world, Uchihamadara tried wood release lightly and then continued to use fire release and ice release to fight against each other in ninjutsu. The two sides continued to use ninjutsu back and forth in this area, and fire release and ice release were intertwined, composing a song of ice and fire. Fire style, Dragon Flame Song Technique. Uchihamadara had 4 ferocious fire dragons attacking towards Bing's position from different directions. This was an A-level fire escape performed by Uchihamadara, and its actual power had surpassed ordinary S-level ninjutsu. A few drops of cold sweat flowed down Bing's forehead. Judging from his age, Uchiha Madara should be an old man with one foot in the Pure Land. However, he did not expect that even so, Uchiha Madara's strength was still far superior to his, and he could not get any benefits from Uchiha Madara. Bing Xin knew that he might not be able to escape today, but for the sake of other Kirigakure ninjas, he tried his best to delay Uchiha Madara for a few more minutes. Ice Escape, Ice Age. Bing's A-level Ice Escape faced Uchiha Madara's A-level Fire Escape. As expected, Bing's ninjutsu failed to stop the raging fire dragon. The solid ice froze the entire forest created by the wood escape, but was directly melted by the fire dragon. However, it was not without effect. Only 2 of the 4 fire dragons were left, and Bing also won time to release his ultimate move. Ice Escape, Absolute Zero. The solid ice that froze the void appeared again, and the S-level Ice Escape froze the entire area. The remaining 2 fire dragons were frozen in the air, and Uchiha Madara in the distance was also frozen in the solid ice. Bing kept breathing heavily, his chakra had been consumed by more than half, but he finally blocked Uchiha Madara's fire attack. Uchiha Madara's fire attack was extremely powerful. Often, when one fire attack was used, Bing had to use at least 2 ice attacks to fight it. This also caused the chakra in Bing's body to be consumed faster than he expected. The solid ice also froze Uchiha Madara at this time, and Bing finally had a chance to catch his breath. He was almost unable to hold on under the continuous bombardment of ninjutsu just now. Chakra flowed at a very fast speed in his body, causing his already aged meridians to ache slightly. At this time, Uchiha Madara's voice came from within the ice, old but with extraordinary domineering, "You are worthy of being the ninja who bears the title of Mizukage. The ninja who was easily defeated by me back then is now so strong. Then, I, Uchiha Madara, will also show some of my true strength and respect you." Bing's face, which was already pale, turned even paler after hearing this. It turned out that Uchiha Madara had been fighting with him in a playful manner. Crack! 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 Cracks kept appearing on the surface of the ice, and Uchiha Madara was frozen in the ice, with the 3 Megatama Sharingan in his eyes spinning rapidly. Along with several dazzling blue lights, materialized dark blue chakra emerged from his body, and then these materialized chakras quickly turned into several ribs that wrapped his whole body. Then Uchiha Madara's eye power and chakra exploded further, and a dark blue chakra giant with 4 arms but only the upper body appeared. Chapter 128. Susanoo, Second Stage. Although Uchiha Madara's Sharingan is not the original one, and it is just an ordinary 3 Megatama instead of the Manjiki or even the Eternal Manjiki level, Susanoo does not necessarily require the Manjiki Sharingan. The Manjiki Sharingan with both eyes gathered is just a key to unlock Susanoo. And even though his eyes have been replaced, his pupil power is still there. In his current state, it is more than enough for him to perform a mere second stage Susanoo. I'm not making this up. In the Fourth World War, after Uchiha Madara was resurrected by Rinnegan, he performed a show of using Susanoo without an eye, and he was directly using the third stage of Susanoo. And Uchiha Shisui, after having one of his Manjiki Sharingan taken away by Danzo, was able to use Susanoo with only one eye. So, the Manjiki Sharingan is definitely not a prerequisite for Susanoo, it is at most a prerequisite. But looking at Madara's state, it is possible that without the Manjiki Sharingan, Susanoo will have certain limitations, such as only being able to open to the third stage or something. Boom! The solid ice was directly broken by Susanoo, and Uchiha Madara stood in it with his arms folded across his chest, looking calmly at the third Mizukage Bing. The technique is good. But it's not enough. Uchiha Madara gave his evaluation. Damn it! Susanoo? And it's already the second stage. Bing gritted his teeth secretly. As a ninja who had experienced the era of the 2 heroes of the Warring States period, he was not unfamiliar with the information about Susanoo. Buzz! 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 Accompanied by 4 consecutive chakra roars, 4 chakra lightsabers appeared in the 4 hands of Susanoo, and then under the control of Uchiha Madara, they smashed towards the position of ice. Bing's face turned pale and he dodged hurriedly, but the size difference was too big. Although he dodged twice, he failed to dodge the third attack. While dodging, he was hit head-on by the chakra lightsaber and his body flew backwards like a kite with a broken string. However, Uchiha Madara had no intention of letting Bing go. With the presence of White Zetsu, as long as Bing was not killed on the spot, Uchiha Madara was confident that he could keep him alive no matter how badly injured he was. The lightsaber in Suzanu's hand turned into chakra and dissipated, then condensed into several huge megatama, and then directly thrown at the ice flying backwards in the air. Susanoo, Yasaka's megatama. The megatama exploded near Bing. The shock of the explosion made Bing spit out a large mouthful of blood again, and Bing's breath instantly weakened. Boom! Bing fell heavily to the ground, uncontrollably rolling several times on the ground, but Bing did not give up resistance. As the Kage of a village, how could he give up so easily? There was only one Mizu Kage who died in battle in the Hidden Mist village, and there has never been a Mizu Kage who surrendered. He stood up with difficulty using his right foot to support his body. At this time, Bing's left arm and left leg were in a strange arc, but they had been broken in Uchiha Madara's attack just now. Bing forcibly controlled his still trembling right hand and slowly began to make seals with one hand. He was still fighting. Oh! Uchiha Madara made a puzzled sound, and couldn't help but admire Bing in his heart. Even after being beaten like this by him, and seeing the huge gap in strength between the two of them, he was still trying to resist. But he only admired him a little. After all, he was not strong enough. It was amazing that he had the courage to fight against Uchiha Madara, but this was the only thing worth praising. In this ninja world, the only one who can stop Uchiha Madara is Hashirama. The other ninjas are just chickens and dogs. Susanoo condensed a chakra lightsaber in his hand again and swept it lightly at Bing. A chakra sword energy whizzed past. Bing was no longer able to dodge and could only use his body to take the blow and complete the final ninjutsu at the same time. The sword energy swept past and hit Bing's body. Bing's already broken left arm was cut off by the sword energy. Bing used his already disabled left arm to get his last chance to attack. Ice Escape, Eternal Sin Ice Prison. Bing poured all the remaining chakra in his body into this ninjutsu. Regardless of success or failure, this S-level ice escape technique would be the final blow of the third Mizu Kage Bing. A huge ice arrow slowly condensed above Bing's head, and then rushed towards Uchiha Madara's position. Uchiha Madara did not dodge, and the arrogant Uchiha decided to defeat this move head-on and completely shatter all of Bing's hopes. The ice arrow hit Susanoo, then quickly spread, freezing everything around it and forming a huge ice prison. Under the effect of the ice chakra, it then exploded with a loud bang. The huge explosion sounded very far away, so far that the Kirigakure ninjas who, under the leadership of the ninja swordsman, had broken through the heavy encirclement of the white Zetsu clones and retreated to the sea could hear it. The mist and smoke produced by the explosion gradually dissipated. Bing, who was holding on to his last breath, did not get the result he wanted. Although Susanoo was impacted in the explosion, only the chakra in some parts was blown away. Uchiha Madara, who was protected in it, was not injured at all. Bing took a deep breath, and his already broken body could no longer support himself, and he fell to the ground powerlessly. Uchiha Madara's eye jades kept spinning, and as his pupil power surged, the broken part of Susanoo was quickly repaired. In fact, Uchiha Madara was not as well off as he looked. At the moment of the explosion, Uchiha Madara output a large amount of pupil power, and in a short period of time, Susanoo was raised to the strength of the third stage of Crotengu armor, and only then could it barely block the final explosion attack of Bing. The battle ended just like that. The huge chakra giant slowly dissipated and returned to the state where only ribs were left. In order to save pupil power, Uchiha Madara maintained Susanoo in the initial stage. After all, maintaining the second stage of Susanoo for a long time was still a bit stressful for the elderly Uchiha Madara. In the initial stage of the rib form, Susanoo, under the control of Uchiha Madara, stretched out a chakra bone arm and lifted the third Mizu Kage Bing, who was lying on the ground and had lost consciousness, in front of Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Madara planned to control Bing first and then let White Zetsu treat his injuries. The following is information about Susanoo from the official sources, which introduces the different stages of Susanoo. Initial stage, only the arms and ribs are transformed. The first stage, the appearance is a skeleton giant, and the chakra will completely cover the body. The second stage, based on the first stage, meridians, flesh and blood grow, and it becomes a normal chakra giant. The third stage, based on the second stage, Susanoo is covered with the Crotengu armor with extremely terrifying defensive power. Stage 4, based on the second stage, the lower body and legs grow, the size of Susanoo also increases synchronously, and the operator will be located at the head of Susanoo. Susanoo at this stage can be equipped as armor on the tailed beast, forming the power Susanoo. The fifth stage, also called the complete form of Susanoo, is the true form of Susanoo. The body becomes extremely huge, comparable to the tailed beast, and the chakra tends to be stable. It can be said to be a complete form that combines the third and fourth stages. Note, the third and fourth stages are two different evolutions or enhancements of the second stage. There is no distinction between order and strength. The third stage emphasizes extreme defense, while the fourth stage focuses on speed and can form a powerful outfit. Chapter 129. Forcibly prying open Bing's eyelids, Uchihamadara's 3 Megatama Sharingan rotated faster and faster, and the invisible pupil power continued to radiate out with a cold and oppressive aura. He was ready to cast an illusion to completely control Bing. At this time, Kingxi was less than a kilometer away from the battlefield. Uchihamadara's movements were observed clearly by the pure eye. The pure eye clearly observed the large amount of pupil power concentrated in Uchihamadara's eyes, and also clearly saw the body of the third Mizukage Bing, which was full of holes, on the verge of death, and whose life fire was about to burn out. Although he didn't know what technique Uchihamadara was going to use on Bing, it was not a good thing to think about it. Uchihamadara also sensed Kyoji's approach, but he ignored it and was still prepared to finish what he had to do first before dealing with Kyoji who was approaching. Uchihamadara! Kingxi roared. The sound echoed between heaven and earth under the blessing of chakra. Uchihamadara frowned slightly. Although he did not deliberately conceal his identity, he didn't think that there was anyone in the Hidden Mist village who could recognize his identity. It was understandable that the third Mizukage Bing could recognize him, but how did this Hidden Mist ninja who suddenly appeared recognize him? While running quickly, Kyoji took out his weapon, the double swords, the flounder, from the Takamagahara space. Then chakra began to flow into the flounder frantically. The blades of the flounder lit up, and along with the input of chakra, they emitted a dazzling blue light. At the same time, the size of the swords was also rapidly increasing. Flatfish, liberation. Holding the enlarged flounder tightly in both hands, Kingxi then jumped high and launched an attack when he was still far away. A huge and surging chakra blade energy rushed straight towards Uchihamadara and his Susanoo. Double sword ninjutsu, crescent moon sky strike. The flying speed of Getsuga Tensho was extremely fast. Uchihamadara judged at a glance that if he forcibly completed the illusion control over the ice, he would have to take this attack head-on. And from the inside of the Sharingan, the power of this attack was only based on the strength of the first stage of Susanoo, and it was simply unstoppable. So after weighing the pros and cons, Uchihamadara had no choice but to throw the ice aside and deal with CG first. The power in Uchihamadara's eyes continued to surge, and the Susanoo, which was in the initial rib form, instantly turned into a skeleton-like skeletal giant, and then flesh and blood grew in an instant, and then he put on the iconic Crow Tengu armor, and the huge chakra giant appeared again. Susanoo, the third stage. The crescent moon sky strike, which was infused with a large amount of Kingji's chakra, hit Uchihamadara's Susanoo, and the Crow Tengu's armor was instantly broken, followed by Susanoo's flesh and blood, and then bones. Only after most of Susanoo's bones were shattered did the chakra sword energy become completely consumed. Refer to Shimura Danzo's use of wind escape to defeat Uchiha's second Pilla's third stage Susanoo. The picture will be posted in the comment section later. Uchihamadara was also shocked, and he had overestimated the power of this attack as much as possible, but he still didn't expect that Kingxi's move almost broke his third stage Susanoo directly. Kingji landed heavily on the ground, put away his double swords, the scabbards, then stepped back with his right foot, and shot his body straight at Uchihamadara like a javelin. Humph! Just in time. Uchihamadara snorted coldly as he looked at Seiji who was rushing towards him at high speed. It just so happened that he and the third Mizukage Bing had not yet had enough fun fighting, so Seiji's arrival was exactly what he wanted. With Uchihamadara's perception and the insight of the Sharingan, he could roughly realize that Kyoji's strength was stronger than the third Mizukage Bing, but he still didn't think that Kyoji had the strength to threaten him. After all, he was the Shura of the ninja world, Uchihamadara. Although he was old now, he was not someone that just any Tom, Dick, or Harry could mess with him. Kingxi rushed forward and punched Uchihamadara's Susanoo hard while it was still repairing. Although he had all kinds of information about Susanoo in his memory, he still decided to try to break the turtle shell with his own hands. Uchihamadara's expression remained unchanged. He controlled Susanoo and punched out as well. The two fists, one big and one small, collided with each other. Time seemed to stop at this moment. Seiji's fist and Susanoo's fist collided and stalemate in mid-air. The invisible shock wave continued to spread around with the two colliding fists as the center. After a moment, King Si took the initiative to retreat. He already had a rough idea of the defensive strength of Susanoo in this state and had a plan in mind. King Si rolled backwards gracefully in the air, then landed gracefully on the ground. The location where he landed was also observed early on through his pure eyes, and it was right next to the third Mizukage Bing who had fainted on the ground. The eye technique Takamagahara was activated, and King Si collected Bing into his Takamagahara space. With the help of its special effect of time stop, Bing's injuries would not continue to worsen. King Si was not a heartless person. Although if Bing died, King Si could immediately become the fourth Mizukage after returning to the village, which could be said to be a major benefit for King Si, but he could not watch Bing, an old man who was quite good to him, return to the Pure Land like this, especially since he happened to be able to control Bing's injuries. Moreover, King Si did not want to achieve his position by watching someone die without helping him. This was not in line with King Si's way of dealing with people. King Si looked at Uchiha Madara in silence for a while, but he really had nothing to communicate with Uchiha Madara. He couldn't just come up to him and say, "Old Madara, you've been deceived. Your plan of infinite Tsukuyomi may not be what you thought." Regardless of whether Uchiha Madara believes it or not, the key point is that CG has no position to persuade Uchiha Madara. Although CG also has the goal of collecting tailed beasts and planting the sacred tree, that is to find food for his own little 10 tails and to produce chakra fruits for himself. The ultimate goals of the two are different. Chapter 130. Uchiha Madara, who witnessed Kyoji using the eye technique Takamagahara, his pupils shrank slightly unconsciously. Although he hated Senju Tobirama very much, he was no stranger to space-time ninjutsu. Space-time ninjutsu. It looks like this is his eye technique. Uchiha Madara analyzed secretly. He had already noticed the sky blue pure eyes behind Seiji's mask, and also sensed the surging eye power overflowing from Seiji's eyes. However, he didn't know what kind of eyes these were, and he had no way of guessing what abilities they possessed until Seiji actually used them. However, for the confident Uchiha Madara, no matter what King Si's eye technique is, he is not afraid. During Uchiha Madara's many years of fighting career, he had fought against his family's Manjiki Sharingan, the Hyuga clan's Byakugan, the Blood Dragon Eyes of the Blood Pond clan, the Chiba clan's Red Eyes, and he even awakened the Rinnegan himself a few years ago. He had seen all kinds of strange and bizarre eye techniques. Moreover, eye techniques can only be launched with the support of eye power, and observing the flow of eye power happens to be the strong point of the Sharingan, which has strong insight. Therefore, although Uchiha Madara was wary and cautious of Seiji's pure eye, that was all. For a moment, both Kyoshi and Uchiha Madara fell into silence, and no one spoke, but their momentum continued to rise and collided with each other in mid-air. In the end, Kyoshi, as a young man, failed to keep his composure and took the lead in attacking Uchiha Madara. Corpse Vein Dance of the Early Ferns. King Si touched the ground with both hands, and chakra rushed into the ground. Dense white bone spurs grew out from the ground and continued to spread in the direction of Uchiha Madara. King Si knew that ordinary attacks had almost no effect on Susanoo, but he knew that Susanoo that had not reached the fourth stage and grown a lower body and legs had a weakness, so he started with a big move to create a strong combat environment for himself to target that weakness. The skeleton lineage of the Hyuga clan? Then what's with his eyes? Uchiha Madara was aware of Kyoshi's identity, but he also had the same doubts as those who had fought against Kyoshi before. However, although he was thinking about it, it did not delay his actions. Looking at the sharp bone spurs that were spreading on the ground, Uchiha Madara controlled his Susanoo, and his forearms kept waving the chakra lightsabers in his hands. For a moment, sword energy was overflowing, and bone fragments were flying. The bone forest that continued to grow under the supply of King Si's chakra made Uchiha Madara once again experience the pain of fighting with Hashirama Senju's would release and the pain he felt when the third Mizukage Ice face used the tree world descent on him. Takamagahara. Looking at Uchiha Madara who was resisting Gulin's attack, King Si launched another attack. The shrunken Dei Shakutan appeared above Susanoo's head, and then under the effect of Xiaoming Biguna, it returned to its original size and fell down with a bang. However, Uchiha Madara is not the third Kazekage Iron Sand whom CG had fought before. Although the Hokaten has the ability to shield perception, the battle-hardened Uchiha Madara has a very strong combat instinct. When the Hokaten grew bigger and fell, Uchiha Madara noticed it. The chakra lightsabers in two of the arms of Susanoo dissipated directly, and then the arms were raised directly to resist the falling Hokaten. Seeing this, Ching Si raised the corner of his mouth slightly, drawing an arc. So, what will you do about the second or even the third one? Boom! Immediately afterwards, two more big Shakudan smashed towards Susanoo one after another. This time, Susanoo could no longer withstand it. Uchiha Madara knew this in his heart, so he decisively gave up Susanoo, jumped away, and directly left the place, but this was exactly what Kingxi wanted to see. Although Susanoo is a move known as the power of God, it refers to the complete form of Susanoo, not the form that Uchiha Madara is currently using, which is only capable of defense and is rather clumsy in movement. Except for the fourth stage Susanoo that grows a lower body and legs, and the fifth stage complete Susanoo, the other forms of Susanoo have weaknesses, that is, they do not move fast enough and there are defensive gaps under their feet, which is quite fatal in a fight between strong men. Without the support of Uchiha Madara's eye power, Susanoo quickly turned into free chakra and dissipated. Without Susanoo to block it, the three Dai Shakudan also fell heavily to the ground, stirring up thick smoke and dust, but this could not block the vision of Uchiha Madara with the Sharingan and Seiji with the pure eye. Through observation with his pure eye, Kingxi had already predicted where Uchiha Madara would land. As soon as Uchiha Madara rushed out of the smoke, before he landed, he was hit by Kingxi's second wave of attacks like a storm. Corpse bone vein, 10 fingers piercing bullets. Countless bone bullets with extremely strong penetrating power were fired madly at Uchiha Madara. This time, Uchiha Madara did not have the defense of Susanoo. After all, it was not his original eye. Although he could still use Susanoo, it was not as smooth as the original one. It would take about 1 to 2 seconds of buffer time before he could use Susanoo again. Kyoshi seized this opportunity perfectly. But this also made Uchiha Madara confirm that Seiji's eyes also had powerful insight, even above the 3 Megatama Sharingan, otherwise he would not have been able to accurately judge his landing point and launch an attack. I just don't know whether this insight that can penetrate the smoke is similar to that of the Sharingan, or similar to the perspective of the Byakugan. The 3 Megatama Sharingan spun wildly, and Uchiha Madara's figure danced like a flower in fallen leaves, shuttling back and forth among the dense bone bullets. However, the bone bullets were still too dense. Although Uchiha Madara tried his best to dodge, he was still hit many times. Fortunately, he had the Afei coat, otherwise, with his old body, he would have to go to see his old father, the Sage of Six Paths, after this wave. Uchiha Madara took a deep breath. After 2 rounds of fighting, he had a rough idea that Kyoshi's combat power was far higher than that of the third Mizukage Bing, and he also had a very tricky eye technique that could suddenly release the Great Box Heaven. Although he had not yet figured out the principle of Kyoshi's eye technique, in his current state, he might not be able to deal with Kyoshi. Chapter 131. Uchiha Madara was too confident. He originally thought that with his current state assisted by the Afei outer garment, he could slaughter the ninjas of the Hidden Mist village at will. At the beginning, it was indeed as he thought. Yagura who came to support was defeated by him in 1 round, and the third Mizukage Bing could not last long against him. Therefore, except for Afei in his body, there were no other white Zetsu clones nearby. But who would have thought that a freak like Seiji, who was even stronger than the Mizukage, would appear in the Hidden Mist village? The vitality provided by Afei alone is not enough to face Kingxi. Uchiha Madara has already summoned the other white Zetsu clones, asking them to stop chasing the ninjas of the Hidden Mist village and come to him quickly. After all, his purpose was not to kill the ninjas of the Hidden Mist village, but to control the third Mizukage Bing. What he has to do now is to delay time a little and wait for the arrival of the white Zetsu clones. 2 seconds passed, and Uchiha Madara used Susanoo again. Looking at Susanoo, which was still in the third stage Crow Tengu form, Kingxi also confirmed that Uchiha Madara's current condition should not be able to support him to use the 4th stage Susanoo. If it was the 4th stage of Susanoo, Kyoshi might have prepared to run away immediately. Although from his memory, Ishaiki's physical skills could pose a threat to the complete form of Susanoo, that was Otsutsuki Ishaiki at the 6 paths level after all, and Kyoshi is far from being able to do that now. Now, he has no good way to deal with the 4th stage Susanoo, which is both offensive and defensive and flexible. But the 3rd stage Susanoo is just a target, so there is nothing to say. Keep attacking. Discuss him. Kingxi put his index and middle fingers together and crossed them horizontally and vertically to form a seal. Shadow Clone Technique. The white smoke dissipated, and 3 Kingxi appeared on the field at the same time, and then rushed towards Uchiha Madara together. Uchiha Madara controlled Susanoo and wielded the chakra lightsaber, sweeping horizontally and slashing vertically, with chakra sword energy flying everywhere, attacking Kingxi in various ways, while quickly forming seals with both hands. Art Fire Escape Ho Fireball. An extremely huge scorching fireball spewed out from Uchiha Madara's mouth and rushed towards Kingxi. Kingxi was shocked. He was worthy of being Uchiha Madara. He could use an ordinary C-level fire escape to achieve the effect of A-level. He had never seen such a huge fireball before. Facing the incoming fireball, Kingji and his two shadow clones separated instantly. The main body did not dodge, and the bones formed by the corpse bone veins covered the whole body. He continued to rush towards Uchiha Madara despite the burning flames and the attack of chakra sword energy. The two shadow clones quickly dispersed to the left and right sides, avoiding the path of the fireball, and continued to rush towards Uchiha Madara. Kingxi's body rushed out of the flames, and the bones covering his body quickly changed shape, finally gathering on his right hand to form a bone drill. At the same time, his left hand reached to his back and pulled out the spine. Corpse vein, dance of the wire flower. Vines. At this time, although the shadow clone on the left had the insight of the pure eye, it still could not avoid the dense chakra sword energy slashed out by Susanoo and was shattered into a ball of white smoke on the spot. But at the same time, the shadow clone on the right had already approached Uchiha Madara within 100 meters. The shadow clone on the right spun and jumped, dodged another chakra sword energy, landed gracefully, and slapped the ground heavily with one hand. Earth Escape Earthquake Core. The land around Uchiha Madara cracked instantly, and the land carrying Uchiha Madara and his Susanoo quickly rose up. Kingxi swung out his spine, and the spine turned into a long bone whip that directly inserted into the rising ground, then quickly broke out from under Uchiha Madara's feet and tightly wrapped around Uchiha Madara. As Kingxi exerted force suddenly, Uchiha Madara was caught off guard and was directly pulled out of his Susanoo by Kingxi's combination of punches. Kingxi's real body instantly caught up, and the bone drill on his right arm stabbed Uchiha Madara fiercely. Corpse vein, dance of the wire flower. Flower. Uchiha Madara was not panicked. He certainly knew that Susanoo had such a weakness, and he had been prepared for it. His purpose was only to delay time and wait for the arrival of White Zetsu clones. When the White Zetsu clones arrived, Uchiha Madara would let CG understand what the real divine power was. Mao Highway, Uchiha Madara quickly formed 3 seals in his hands, and a weak invisible pupil power wave swept over, but was ignored by Kingxi. Puff! Uchiha Madara, who was entangled in the bone whip, was pierced through the chest by the iron wire flower by Kingxi, who followed him. It seemed that he was dying, but Kingxi found that Uchiha Madara did not feel any pain at all, but instead had a smile on his lips. Kingxi felt something was wrong. Although it was an old Uchiha Madara, he should not be so weak that he could be killed so easily. However, after repeated observation with his pure eyes, he did not find anything. It's finally solved. Kingxi exhaled, closed his eyes and relaxed. When Kingxi opened his eyes again, the pure eye had already closed. However, just as Kingxi was about to leave, he suddenly discovered that the body of Uchiha Madara, who was lying on the ground, had disappeared from the spot at some point. Kingxi was startled, as if he had thought of something. An extremely familiar cold aura of pupil power reappeared not far behind Kingxi. Uchiha Madara is alive again. Kingxi turned around and looked. At this time, Uchiha Madara's A-Fei coat had been opened, revealing his true face. He had an old face, long grey hedgehog-like hair, and the originally scarlet Sharingan in his left eye gradually faded and turned pale in the blink of an eye. Although I wasted a 3 Megatama Sharingan and delayed some time, we're finally here. This was the first time Uchiha Madara spoke after Seiji and Uchiha Madara started fighting, and the old voice echoed in Seiji's ears. As soon as he finished speaking, several white Zetsu clones emerged from the ground and appeared next to Uchiha Madara. Izanagi. Kingxi sighed, he was tricked. He knew about this forbidden technique of the Uchiha clan. The Uchiha clan used this forbidden technique very frequently during the Warring States period, but this was information from his Heiki's memory after all. The fight with Uchiha Madara was his first battle with the Uchiha clan, so he subconsciously ignored Izanagi's bug-like ability. Ah-Fei's outer clothes fell off completely. Uchiha Madara stretched out his dry hands and slowly formed seals, summoning a small glass container bottle, in which a scarlet Sharingan was immersed. Uchiha Madara stretched out his finger to the Sharingan in his left eye, which had turned white, and pulled it out with a little force. He threw it aside, then took out the soaked Sharingan from the glass container and inserted it directly into his left eye socket. The light green medical Yang-Tun chakra lit up, and Uchiha quickly completed the eye replacement. Plug and replace. JPG. Chapter 132. These actions were completed in a very short time, so fast that Kingxi had no time to take any action. Uchiha Madara completed the eye replacement action in front of Kingxi. Seeing this, Kingxi opened his pure eye again, chakra burst out, and rushed towards Uchiha Madara in an instant, quickly forming seals with both hands. Since I can kill you once, I can kill you a second time, or even a third and fourth time. Let's see how many Sharingan you can exchange for. Wind style, suppress. Uchiha Madara was not worried at all about Seiji's rushing towards him and the wind escape he performed. He calmly formed hand seals again, and this time he summoned his weapon. Uchiha Madara grabbed the summoned flame fan and turned the fan to face the oncoming high-pressure wind ball. Uchiha rebounds. The high-pressure wind ball was directly absorbed by the flame fan. Give it back to you. Uchiha Madara murmured, and then flipped the fan again. The wind escape that had just been absorbed was returned to Kingxi by the flame fan. Kingxi's forward step stopped instantly. He was well aware of the power of the B-level wind escape he had just performed, and he did not dare to resist it head-on. He quickly stepped back and dodged at the same time. And that's exactly the kind of time Uchiha Madara needed. He casually placed the flame fan aside and formed the no seal with his hands. Yin-Yang escape, life absorption. The chakra and vitality of the white Zetsu clones gathered around Uchiha Madara were directly drained by him, and they turned grey and fell down powerlessly. Then came the special white Zetsu clone Afii. Uchiha Madara did not let him go either, but he did not drain him dry. Instead, he left him a little, so that when he returned to the vicinity of the outer path statue, he would still have a chance to recover. Uchiha Madara's complexion became rosy at a speed visible to the naked eye, and his wrinkled face also regained vitality at an extremely fast speed. In a short period of time, he obtained a large amount of vitality provided by the white Zetsu clone, and Uchiha Madara regained his youth. Although the time is short, it's enough. Uchiha Madara's domineering voice came over, I'll show you what the ultimate power of Uchiha is. A cold and terrifying power burst out from the three Megatama Sharingan. The air seemed to become thicker and everything seemed to become still. A pressure appeared out of nowhere, making it difficult for Kingxi to breathe. A dazzling blue light burst out, and an extremely huge amount of chakra exploded from Uchiha Madara's body. Then, under the influence of the Sharingan's power, it quickly stabilized, and then began to continuously materialize. The dark blue chakra giant appeared again, and then grew rapidly. In a flash, it exceeded the size of the fourth stage that Kingxi had seen before. The lower body and legs also grew out, and finally it turned into an extremely huge chakra warrior comparable to Kingxi's small 10 tails, standing in front of Kingxi. Stop! Uchiha Madara jumped high and entered the crystal on the forehead of the complete form of Susanoo. This is the power of God. Despair! Feel the power of Uchiha! Uchiha Madara laughed wildly, and then under his control, the complete form of Susanoo slowly drew out the chakra sword from his waist. Not good! Ching's eye was shocked as he felt the incomparable power. He didn't expect Uchiha Madara to have such a trick. He couldn't resist this complete form of Susanoo. The power of his pupils gathered quickly, and Kingxi prepared to retreat. At this moment, Kingxi no longer had the idea of fighting with Uchiha Madara. He could not afford to touch this guy. When his strength reached a higher level, he would come back to deal with this old man. Takamagahara! A blue blade flashed, the earth was cracking, and a deep crack on the ground continued to extend into the distance. The blade rose and fell, and the complete form of Susanoo just swung the blade lightly. At the moment before Susanoo's sword fell, Kingxi finally opened the space channel and disappeared on the spot, but he was still affected by Uchiha Madara's attack. Although Kingxi had entered the state of space transfer, the attack power of the complete form of Susanoo with the power of all things was too strong. Before the opened space channel could be closed, it was attacked by Uchiha Madara. The space at the entrance was directly shattered by it, and the space channel constructed by Kingxi's pupil technique produced a violent explosion and collapse under this attack. If you could see it, the entire space channel was like a mirror with cracks constantly extending and breaking. Wherever Kingxi passed, all the obstacles were crushed to pieces, and then swallowed up one by the powerful attraction emitted by the surrounding space turbulence. Puff! Kingxi crawled out of the space channel, fell to the ground in a mess, and spit out a mouthful of blood. Affected by the broken space channel, Kingxi's body was now full of holes, and tears of blood kept dripping from his eyes. However, although the space channel was shattered by Uchiha Madara's attack, Kingsley still successfully escaped back to the Hidden Mist village. After forcing himself to use the eye technique Takamaji Ehara again to release the seriously injured third Mizukage Bing and his younger brother Yagura, who was knocked down by Uchiha Madara and whom CG met on the way, CG could no longer hold on and fainted. The guard housekeeper Bai, who was at home, heard the noise coming from Kingsley's room. After calling Kingsley many times to no avail, Bai decisively broke into the room, and then saw the third Mizukage Bing, Kiruta Yagura and Kingsley lying on the ground with blood constantly flowing from their bodies. Seeing this scene, Aoi was horrified and hurriedly notified the elder Yuanshi who was still running around to settle the Uzumaki clan. After receiving the news, Yuanshi did not care about anything else and immediately put down what he was busy with and rushed back home. At the same time, he asked Aoi who came to inform him to go to the Kirigakure hospital again to ask the director Minako Ringo to come secretly. Upon learning that the third Mizukage Bing and Kingsley were both seriously injured, Yuanshi immediately realized that this matter must not be allowed to spread, otherwise it would likely cause chaos in the village. The serious injuries of the current Mizukage and the first successor to the next Mizukage were enough to make some ambitious people have inappropriate thoughts. When the master returned home, he couldn't help but burst into tears when he saw Bing, Kingsley and Yagura who were seriously injured. He really didn't expect that a simple mission in the land of whirlpools would cause such heavy damage to the Hidden Mist village. Chapter 133. How is it? Dean Ringo? Master Yuan asked with a little trepidation. After receiving the notification from Aoi, Minako Ringo immediately realized the seriousness of the matter, so she immediately changed her clothes and secretly followed Aoi to Seiji's house. The situation is not very good. Ringo Minako hesitated for a moment, but chose to tell the truth. Seiji-kun is fine. He is currently in a coma because of his severe injuries. His body is in a state of self-protection. But his physique is very strong. Although he seems to be seriously injured, he has the power of bloodline in his body that is constantly healing himself. With his own strength, he will slowly recover completely. It's the same with Yagura-kun. His main injury is mental trauma. The physical injury is not serious. He just needs to rest for a while. Ringo Minako continued, the main problem is with Mizukage-sama. The meridians in Mizukage's body are on the verge of breaking. Although we now have the means to heal this kind of injury, Mizukage-sama is too old. After recovery, Mizukage-sama's strength will definitely be affected, but I'm not sure how big this impact will be. After hearing this, the master sighed. This was a mixed blessing. The good news was that Seiji and Yagura would not have any major problems with the future of the Hidden Mist village. But the worrying thing was that the third Mizukage Bing's injury might not be very serious. After his strength was affected, it was unknown whether he could continue to serve as the Mizukage. On the other side, after using the complete form of Susanoo to strike with the sword, Uchiha Madara's body was like a deflated ball, and he returned to his old age again, and it was visibly worse than before the battle. For him, this operation was not a success. Not only did he fail to control the third Mizukage Bing with illusion, he even exposed his own identity. I'm still old. Uchiha Madara became more and more disgusted with his aging body. If he was in his prime, he didn't even need his prime. Even when he was young, ninjas as powerful as Bing and Seiji were not worth his attention. As a result, he was forced into this situation by Seiji. Although Seiji escaped in the end, there was really nothing to be happy about for Uchiha Madara. However, Seiji still left a deep impression on Uchiha Madara. He had a mysterious feeling that this Kirigakure ninja might become an obstacle to his plans in the future. After summoning a few white Zetsu clones again, Uchiha Madara recovered his vitality and left the land of whirlpools and returned to his underground base. This exposure made him feel a little urgency, but fortunately he was exposed to the Hidden Mist village far overseas. Otherwise, if Konoha knew he was still alive, they might send a large number of ninjas to encircle and suppress him. A few days later, in the Frost Country, the mountain cemetery, the underground base, Uchiha Madara returned to his lair. He walked slowly towards the outer path golem with some effort, sat down on the seat with difficulty, and then connected the tube to his body again. Feeling the vitality transmitted by the outer path golem at that moment, Uchiha Madara let out a low roar of pleasure. At this time, the white Zetsu's real body, who had received the news, rushed back, Master Madara. Do you need to bring back all the white Zetsu? Your identity has been exposed to the Hidden Mist village. No, it's not necessary. Uchiha Madara rejected the proposal of White Zetsu. If we lose the channel to obtain external intelligence, it means that we will not be able to understand the situation and dynamics of the outside world, and we will not be able to grasp the movements of the major ninja villages. This will make us blind and our situation will become more passive. The collection of intelligence is the top priority. We must always grasp the movements of the ninja world. But next, you have to focus on finding out the identity of this Kirigakure ninja for me. I originally thought that the third Mizukage was the strongest in the Kirigakure village, but I didn't expect that there is someone stronger than him. Whose subordinate is this? Uchiha Madara added, his tone filled with a hint of resentment. If it weren't for Kiyoshi's interference, his actions against the Kirigakure village would be perfect. Okay. Lord Madara. White Zetsu's true form responded. Go. And help Afei recover as soon as possible. I hope you'll have some good news when you wake me up next time. Uchiha Madara pointed at Afei, who was brought back half dead, and signaled to the White Zetsu's real body. Then he closed his eyes and fell into a deep sleep again, recalling every bit of his experience with Hashirama in his dreams. Uchiha Madara's final devastating blow was also sensed by the hidden cloud village that was attacking Uzushio village, and the Uzumaki clan leader Ashina Uzumaki who was defending with all their might, but they all ignored it. 5 days passed like this, and it was March of the 36th year of Kirigakure. The defensive barrier of the Uzushio village was getting weaker and weaker, and many members of the Uzumaki clan had already died because they had exhausted their physical strength and chakra. This was why the defensive barrier of the Uzushio village could last for such a long time under the continuous ninjutsu attacks of so many ninjas from the hidden cloud village. On the one hand, it was because its defensive barrier was unique in the ninja world and had extremely strong defensive power. On the other hand, it was also due to the sacrifice of all the Uzumaki clan. Except for the Uzumaki members who were taken away by Kingji, there are only a little over 100 Uzumaki members still alive in Uzushio village who can participate in the battle. According to the estimation of the touching ninjas of the hidden cloud village, with their current attack strength, the barrier of Uzushio village will definitely be broken by them today. Soon, half of the day had passed. Looking at the precarious and crumbling defense barrier of Uzushio village, the ninjas of the hidden cloud village could not help but increase the intensity of their attacks regardless of the consumption of chakra. The third Raikage AI also personally took to the battlefield to start the attack. Ha! With a roar, the lightning chakra mode was directly pulled to the strongest state. The hair of the third Raikage AI stood up under the stimulation of lightning chakra, and the whole person looked full of power. The index finger of his right hand pointed forward, and the lightning chakra with a bit of destructive aura was gradually compressed to the tip of the index finger. The electric light kept jumping on the fingertips, making a sizzling sound. Afterwards, AI's figure disappeared in an instant, and he rushed directly towards the defensive barrier of Uzushio village at a speed that was beyond the naked eye's observation. Without any prior preparation or any need for probing, he directly launched his most powerful attack, known as the strongest spear. Hell Thrust One Punch Hand. A hand directly poked at the defensive barrier. The defensive barrier kept twisting, but still refused to be broken. Seeing this, AI's eyes widened in anger, and he shouted loudly. Chakra burst out crazily without regard for consumption, and his arm poked forward with force. Chapter 134. The lightning around the third Raikage AI became brighter and brighter, and the feeling of his lightning chakra became more and more violent. AI seemed to have turned into a giant lightning dragon and crashed into the defensive barrier. There was a loud shattering sound, and the huge sound like a bolt from the blue echoed throughout the Wakari village. The members of the Uzumaki clan, who were trying their best to maintain the barrier, all spat out blood and their breath quickly weakened. They were directly killed by AI's attack through the barrier. The transparent defensive barrier was gradually filled with lightning, as if someone had painted it with a layer of blue paint. The lightning continued to spread, spreading rapidly as if it had a spirit. Whether it was the Uzumaki clan in Uzushio village or the Kirigakure ninja outside Uzushio village, they all stared at this scene with wide eyes. When the lightning gradually covered the entire defensive barrier, Uzumaki Ashina's pupils contracted violently, and then he sighed sadly. After all, he could not hold on any longer. Uzumaki Ashina did not move. Instead, he spoke in a low voice to all the Uzumaki clan members who were still able to fight behind him. The barrier will be broken soon. The last moment for our Uzumaki clan has come. But our bloodline can still be passed down in the hidden mist village. Then, his tone gradually became higher. We, the Uzumaki clan, don't like war, but we are never afraid of war. I will trap the Reikage for a while later. For the sake of the Uzumaki clan, please take advantage of this time to kill as much as you want. Let them realize that we, the Uzumaki clan, are not easy to mess with. If they want our sealing technique, let them come to us and take it personally. You all stayed here voluntarily, so here. There are no Uzumakis who surrender, only those who die in battle. Crack, 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 crack. A very slight but unusually obvious shattering sound echoed throughout the Uzumaki village. All the Uzumaki people couldn't help but start to look serious, as a great battle was about to begin. A tiny crack appeared at the point where the third Reikage AI's fingertips touched the defensive barrier. The appearance of this crack seemed to represent a signal of victory. In a moment, more cracks appeared near the crack, and then the cracks began to spread irregularly to other places of the defensive barrier at an extremely fast speed. The entire defensive barrier began to flicker continuously, and then shattered with a loud bang. The defensive barrier of the Uzushio village was breached. The entire Uzushio village was exposed to the eyes of the Kirigakure ninja army without any defense. Nothing could stop the Kirigakure ninja army anymore. The third Reikage AI, who saw that he had succeeded in his attack, ignored his subordinates behind him, sped up again, and rushed into the Uzushio village alone with his lightning chakra shining. The time for hunting had come. When the Uzumaki clan's ninjas just saw the figure of the third Reikage AI in front of them, the extremely dazzling blue lightning had already rushed into them with an extremely powerful and violent attitude before they could make any move, knocking some of the ninjas away and causing chaos in their formation. Sealing Technique First Series. One of the Uzumaki ninjas was knocked away but was safe and sound because he was on the side. When he was about to release the sealing technique, AI had already arrived in front of him and knocked him away with a light elbow. The entire chest of the Uzumaki ninja was sunken by the elbow, and he was spitting out fragments of internal organs. It was obvious that he was not going to survive. At this time, Uzumaki Ashina appeared in time, waving the golden chain behind him wildly, blocking the attack of the third Reikage AI. When the enemies met, they were extremely jealous. Uzumaki Ashina hated the third Reikage AI very much, and AI was also not very happy about the trick Uzumaki Ashina played on him a few days ago. AI rushed towards Uzumaki Ashina like a huge cannonball. After grabbing Uzumaki Ashina's body, he rotated his body and threw Uzumaki Ashina heavily to the ground, and his lightning chakra surged out. Ninjutsu, Thunder Bomb. Ninja Technique, Shadow Clone Explosion. Two loud shouts rang out at the same time. It turned out that what AI had caught was just a shadow clone of Uzumaki Ashina. At the same time that AI's lightning release chakra was detonated, Uzumaki Ashina also detonated his shadow clone. AI was directly affected by the explosion, but when the smoke and dust from the explosion cleared, AI was unharmed, and even the lightning release armor on his body was not broken at all. His strong defensive power was clearly visible. Uzumaki Ashina was not surprised. You know, the third Reikage Echo was not only a ninja who was known to possess the strongest spear, he was also a ninja who possessed the strongest shield. The trick he just used was just to buy a little time. All the chakra in Uzumaki Ashina's body burned instantly, and at the same time he also burned all his vitality and blood. His mission was to delay the third Reikage AI here as much as he could, to buy time for the rest of the tribesmen, and to kill as many invaders from the hidden cloud village as possible. The last fight made him realize that the four purple flame formation alone would not be able to trap the third Reikage AI, so he needed a more powerful barrier technique. The four red yang formation, which was dozens of times stronger than the four purple flame formation, required the combined efforts of four top ninjas with chakra levels at the cage level to use it. Therefore, in his last battle, Uzumaki Ashina burned all of himself without hesitation, in exchange for the power to allow him to use the four red yang formation alone for a short period of time. The three shadow clones of Uzumaki Ashina that had been scattered around were now in place. Together with the original body, they surrounded the third Reikage AI in four different directions, and the seals were formed at the same time. Ninja Technique 4 Red Sun Formation. When AI saw this familiar scene, he felt something was wrong. He was briefly trapped by the four purple flame formation last time. Since Uzumaki Ashina knew that he had the ability to break the four purple flame formation but was still preparing to cast the barrier ninjutsu, it could only mean that the barrier he was going to cast was more powerful than the last four purple flame formation. So AI rushed forward madly in one direction, trying to break the range of Uzumaki Ashina's barrier jutsu, but it was too late. Four red beams shot up into the sky, then quickly spread out, forming a rectangular barrier of red transparent flames that trapped AI inside. Uzumaki Ashina, who had performed the 4 red yang formation, was breathing heavily. He could feel his vitality and chakra draining away madly, but he had finally performed it successfully. Thus, the last moments of his life had meaning. Reikage. Uzumaki Ashina said to AI with hatred, "Don't waste your energy. This 4 red yang formation is specially prepared for you. You can't break out of it before I die." After hearing this, AI knew that Uzumaki Ashina was right. Of course, there was information about the super standard barrier technique called the 4 red yang formation in the hidden cloud village, but he refused to believe it. It could also be said that he was full of confidence in his own strength. Chapter 135. Hell thrust Ippon's in hand. AI used the same trick again, trying to break through the 4 red yang formation with the strongest spear, but the result disappointed him. His Ichigaku hand was stuck on the barrier wall of the 4 red yang formation. No matter how he burst out his chakra, the 4 red yang formation remained motionless, and the flames on the barrier wall continued to burn the lightning armor on his body, greatly consuming his chakra. Helplessly, AI could only give up struggling. The lightning chakra on his body gradually subsided, and he prepared to wait obediently in the barrier for Uzumaki Ashina's chakra to be exhausted. In Uzushio village, the Uzumaki clan's ninjas are fighting fiercely with the invaders from the hidden cloud village, and ninjas from both sides are dying every moment. Almost all the Uzumaki ninjas who have survived until now are elites. It has come to the last moment and they have no other way to retreat. They are all in a state of fearlessness and courage, and have burst out with strength several times stronger than usual. They are frantically exchanging injuries, using all kinds of sealing techniques and forbidden techniques without regard for the consequences, and even when the battle cannot be held on any longer, they simply use the Shikigaki Fusa to drag one more Kirigakure ninja to die together. For a time, the Uzumaki clan used this desperate fighting style to defeat the Kirigakure invaders. But after all, the Uzumaki clan had too few people. Without any support, every time a member died, one less member was left. Gradually, as time passed, the Uzumaki clan's resistance became weaker and weaker. 10 minutes later, Uzumaki Ashina lost his breath and fell to the ground helplessly. The 4 red yang formation that trapped the third Reikage AI also disappeared with the death of Uzumaki Ashina. When the third Reikage AI came out of the 4 red yang formation, there were no Uzumaki clan ninjas in the entire Uzushio village. Dode also reported to AI with a happy face that they had found some of the sealing scrolls that the Uzumaki clan had not had time to destroy. The hidden cloud village finally achieved their goal. At this point, the Whirlpool country became history. The news that the Whirlpool country and the Uzumaki clan were destroyed by the joint efforts of the hidden cloud village and the hidden mist village quickly spread throughout the ninja world. When Konoha village received this news, many days had passed, and the grass on the graves of the Uzumaki clan was almost 3 feet high. In fact, Shimura Danzo should have received the news earlier, because the Kirigakure village that cooperated with him had already achieved the goal and retreated in advance, but the problem was that the Kirigakure village was attacked by Uchiha Madara during the retreat, and the third-generation Mizukage Bing and Seiji were both seriously injured and fell into a coma. The Uzumaki clan's sealing technique inheritance was now in Seiji's hands. The Kirigakure village was unable to pay Danzo the reward that was agreed to at the time, so Ken did not inform Danzo that the Kirigakure village had succeeded, and at the same time blocked the news that the Mizukage was injured and comatose. Konoha village, Hokage building, the third Hokage's office. Danzo! A roar echoed throughout the Hokage building. The third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen was furious. He felt that he was being tricked by his own friends. This is certainly not to say that he was angry about the news of the annihilation of the Uzumaki clan. On the contrary, deep down in his heart, he actually felt that it was not a good thing to have such a big clan that was independent of Konoha village and not under Konoha's control but extremely important to Konoha village. So it would be destroyed. Anyway, the next generation of Nine-Tails Jinchuriki had already been chosen. It was Uzumaki Kushina who was sent by the Uzumaki clan at the request of Konoha to replace Uzumaki Mito and become the new Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Rather, he felt that as the current leader of Konoha village and the strongest Hokage, he was the last to know the news. Even the two advisory elders, Mitaman and Utane Koharu, learned about this information a little earlier than him. Moreover, he also heard a rumor from somewhere that the Uzumaki clan had sent people to Konoha village for help, but was rejected, and Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't know about this news at all, and didn't even see the Uzumaki clan members who came to ask for help. Although if he really saw them, he might not choose to rescue them with all his strength. After all, Konoha village is now fighting against Sand village, Amegakure and Iwagakure at the same time, which is indeed a bit stretched, but at least they should send some ninjas to show their friendship and do their best to be allies. In the entire Konoha village, the only person who could do this and hide himself completely was only one person. That person was the Hokage assistant who controlled the route, appointed by him personally, and was also his most beloved partner and best friend, named Kage Danzo Shimura. Hiruzen. Calm down. Danzo, this is all for our Konoha. Mito Kato-en opened his mouth like an old hermaphrodite. Yudin Koharu also chimed in, yes. Hiruzen. If it weren't for Danzo's intervention, we would have to rescue the Whirlpool country for the sake of our alliance. Moreover, if Lady Mito knew about the situation at that time, she would definitely ask us to send a large number of elite ninjas. But how can we have enough combat power to rush to the rescue of the Whirlpool country? What if we are short on combat power due to the dispatch of troops to rescue the Whirlpool country, and one of the 3 battlefields collapses? I can only say that they are truly worthy of being the dragon and phoenix of Konoha village. They are here to act as troublemakers and frantically whitewash Danzo's behavior. With these 2 people, how can Konoha not be prosperous? Of course, Sarutobi Hiruzen is also a wonderful person, and in fact, what Danzo did is very much in line with his wishes. However, ignorance is not a crime. As the Hokage of Konoha village, he had never received any request for help from the Uzumaki clan, so it was very reasonable that Konoha did not send reinforcements. To put it bluntly, it was Sarutobi Hiruzen who was in the right and reasonable, so he was not afraid even if Lord Mito came to confront him. After all, this was done secretly by Danzo who was behind his back, and he, the 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, was a leaf bathed in the sun, and Danzo was just the root buried deep in the darkness who was pushed out by him to take the blame because of his personality. With the involvement of Crouching Dragon and Phoenix Hatchling, Sarutobi Hiruzen just went with the flow and stopped scolding Danzo. However, he still decided to teach Danzo a lesson and make him understand that all his power came from him, Sarutobi Hiruzen. Chapter 136. Danzo, hand over your root. I will let Shinashuk take over with you. Sarutobi Hiruzen said to Danzo calmly, also, from now on, your position as Hokage's assistant is also suspended. Hiruzen. You can't do this to me. Danzo was dumbfounded when he heard this. He thought that, with the gay relationship between him and Sarutobi Hiruzen, at most he would scold him and simply punish him. After all, although what he did was not a big deal and he even let 2 of the Uzumaki clan members get away, he was sure that Sarutobi Hiruzen must have hoped that he would do so in his heart. He knew too well his good friend who seemed very great and glorious. But now, with just one simple sentence, Sarutobi Hiruzen was going to take away the roots he had carefully cultivated, and deprive him of his power and status in Konoha. This was something he could not tolerate. This. Yudin Koharu spoke up at this time, Hiruzen. Isn't the punishment for Danzo a bit too harsh? Although he did it privately without discussing it with you, you also know that his starting point is indeed good. No. Danzo has caused too much trouble this time. He must be suspended and reflect on himself. The current 3rd Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen, is in his prime. Judging from his various measures and ideas during the Ninja World War, he can be said to be a great ninja hero, rather than the ninja bear who later became old and confused, extremely conservative, and was known as a dove leader. So, now he is extremely powerful, especially this time he has caught Danzo's weakness, which involves such major events as diplomacy, especially the fact that the entire country of Whirlpool has been removed from the list. If this gets out, how will Konoha save face? How will the 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen deal with it? The Konoha family certainly knew Danzo's character and knew that he could do such a thing, but other people in the ninja world didn't know. Danzo was just an assistant to the Hokage. Without the Hokage's authorization, how could he dare to bypass the Hokage and do such a thing? Then, Mito Kato Yan's eyes rolled and he suggested, then let's leave 1 or 2 teams of roots for Danzo. After all, he is also a high-ranking member of our Konoha, so we still have to give him some face. Sarutobi Hiruzen thought about it. He certainly didn't want to push his good friend too hard. What if Danzo didn't take the blame for him in the future? After all, what Danzo had done really touched upon his inner thoughts. So after a little hesitation, he agreed to Mito Kato-en's suggestion. Then, Sarutobi Hiruzen waved his hand, and 2 Anbu appeared instantly, ready to take Danzo to find Sarutobi Shinoshoku to hand over the route-related work. Humph! I don't need you to take me there, I can go by myself. Danzo snorted coldly. At this moment, he was extremely eager for the position of Hokage. If he had the same power as the Hokage, how could Sarutobi Hiruzen dare to treat him like this? Danzo slammed the door and left, leaving behind one final sentence, "Hiruzen, you will regret this." When Sarutobi Hiruzen heard these familiar words, he instantly became angry again, and he growled unconsciously, "Danzo! I am the Hokage." When the troublemakers Mitamon and Udaten Koharu saw that Sarutobi Hiruzen was getting angry again, they hurriedly tried to comfort him and diverted his attention with the arrangement of the war. The two, a sleeping dragon and a young phoenix, rushed to help Sarutobi Hiruzen with various strategies in an attempt to win this great war in the ninja world. After some discussion, the three finally decided that they should pick the weak ones first. Compared with Sand Village and Uegakure, the ninja strength of Omegakure is much worse. Although they have the top combat power of Hanzo, the salamander, who is known as the demigod, Sarutobi Hiruzen, and the other two believe that this cannot make up for the gap between Omegakure and the serious Konoha. Moreover, Sarutobi Hiruzen has enough confidence in the three disciples he personally taught. He believes that Tsunade, Orochimaru, and Jiraiya, who already have the strength of Kage, can match Hanzo when they join forces. At the suggestion of Wolong Mizudaman, they also prepared to launch a blitzkrieg against the Hidden Rain village. Tsunade, Orochimaru, and Jiraiya would lead the elite ninja troops, bypass the direction of river country, and then head straight for the heart of rain country to give Hanzo a direct attack. So, the three of them sat in the Hokage's office and began to deploy troops. They reorganized the Konoha ninja troops that had retreated from the rain country and were currently stationed at the border and in the Hidden Rain village, and transferred all the ninjas below the level of Chunin to the other two battlefields. At the same time, they sent a number of elite ninjas to provide support. As for the other two battlefields, Sarutobi Hiruzen's current requirement for them is to maintain the balance and hold the defense line, and not let the war spread to the territory of the Fire Country. They should wait until the Hidden Rain village is defeated before making plans. The war with Tsunagakure was still led by Hitaki Sakumo, who was known as the White Fang of Konoha, while the Uegakure front was led by the chiefs of the Ino, Shika, and Jo clans, who were loyal supporters of the Sarutobi clan. However, for the three clans, it was actually equivalent to letting Nara Shikashin, the chief of the Nara clan, who was known as the brain of Konoha, serve as the commander-in-chief. However, the strategy proposed by Mitamon is actually quite good. If they can really break into the Hidden Rain village directly, then it can be said that the war with the Hidden Rain village is basically over. Without the Hidden Rain village as a backing, no matter how powerful Hanzo is, it will be useless. However, the bad thing was that after Crouching Dragon and Phoenix Hatchling finished discussing with Sarutobi Hiruzen, they went to Danzo's house to comfort Danzo, and then casually told him everything they had discussed. At this time, Danzo's desire for the position of Hokage overwhelmed everything and he fell into a trance. How could he sit idly by and watch Sarutobi Hiruzen's three disciples gain such military exploits and thus have great reputation in the village and then become candidates for the fourth Hokage? Therefore, he leaked the battle plan designated by Konoha without hesitation. The object of the leak was exactly the opponent he faced when he was the commander of the Rain Village front not long ago, the demigod salamander Hanzo. Chapter 137. Of course, Danzo would definitely not do a business that would lose money. He was suspended from his duties and reflecting at home at the request of Sarutobi Hiruzen, and of course he would not show up in person. Instead, he secretly sent a route to sell the news to Hanzo through the underground gold exchange. Although Danzo handed over the route, this was a dark and evil force that he had created. The route ninjas were basically his diehard fans. How could they be taken away so easily by Sarutobi Hiruzen? Not to mention that every route ninja had the tongue extermination seal set by Danzo himself. Therefore, the route, which was apparently working for the third Hokage, was actually still a force that belonged exclusively to Danzo. As for Hanzo, although he didn't know which kind-hearted person had sent him timely help, he was almost unable to hold on because he had not achieved the strategic goal of a decisive battle with Konoha some time ago. Although there were still many ninjas in the Hidden Rain village who could go to the battlefield, the strategic resources were somewhat behind. Therefore, he decided to seize this last chance, and whether he could turn the tables depended on this one gamble. If he could severely damage this elite force of Konoha in one fell swoop, then he could use this as a threat to advance into the Land of Fire again, force Konoha to sign a treaty that was beneficial to him, and end the war he provoked decently, and then feel at ease to be the boss of the Hidden Rain village and do whatever he wants, and never care about the hustle and bustle of the ninja world again. Let's talk about Black Zetsu again. He did not follow Uchiha Madara to the land of whirlpools, but crossed the sea all the way to the land of water. He came to investigate Seiji's information. However, Black Zetsu went in the wrong direction at the beginning. He mistook Kyoshi for a member of the Kagaya clan, and did not go to the Hidden Mist village at all. Instead, he sneaked into the Kagaya clan's territory and tried to find out Kyoshi's true identity. As his investigation deepened, he could not find out anything, because the Kagaya clan did not have any information about Kyoshi. Among the current Kagaya clan, the only one who knows about Seiji is their clan leader, Kagaya Musashi. And Kagaya Musashi was the one who expelled Seiji's entire family from the clan, so how could he allow any information about Seiji's family to be kept within the clan? And Black Zetsu currently has no confidence in being able to directly control the cage-level madmen of the Kagaya clan, so of course he found nothing. However, Black Zetsu did not give up. He believed that since it existed, there must be traces left. Therefore, he still lurked in the Kagaya clan and continued his investigation. It was not until Uchiha Madara returned empty-handed that he gave White Zetsu the task of investigating Kingxi's identity. White Zetsu's clone then informed the information to White Zetsu's original body, who was with Black Zetsu at this time. Therefore, after receiving the information passed on by White Zetsu's clone, Black Zetsu discovered that there might be a small problem with the direction of his investigation. Seiji, who has the ability of corpse veins, may indeed be from the Kagaya clan, but the information transmitted by the White Zetsu clone clearly shows that Seiji is definitely not from the Kagaya clan at present. After all, Black Zetsu has already found out about the conflicts between the Kagaya clan and the Hidden Mist village. Moreover, among the Hidden Mist ninja troops that the White Zetsu clone fought, there are 6 jonins with extraordinary ninja swords. Combined with the information about the Hidden Mist ninja swordsman 7 that has been circulating in the ninja world in recent days, and the ninja sword that Seiji used in the battle with Uchiha Madara, it is obvious that Seiji, whom Black Zetsu wants to investigate, belongs to this group of 7 ninja swordsmen. So, the black and white yin and yang man set off directly, left the Kagaya clan's territory, and headed for the Hidden Mist village. The investigation went exceptionally smoothly. The name of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist village, a special force formed by the 3rd Mizukage Bing, had already spread throughout the Hidden Mist village. Almost all the villagers knew about the battle record of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist village in the Rain Country, and this also confirmed why Black Zetsu met Seiji from the Hidden Mist village in the Rain Country. Compared to some true and false information circulating in the ninja world, the information discussed by the villagers of the Hidden Mist village is much more real. After all, this is some official information that can be revealed by the Mizukage building. Combined with the impression of the style of ninja sword used by Seiji, Black Zetsu quickly locked on Seiji's name. Then, it should be Kagaya Seiji. Black Zetsu murmured in a low and hoarse voice. That's right. It must be him. Looks like we can report to Lord Madara now. Another voice responded, it was the other half of the hermaphrodite, White Zetsu. However, I always feel that something is not right. According to the intelligence obtained a few days ago, it is impossible for members of the Hyuga clan to serve in the Hidden Mist village, let alone become the shadow guard of the Mizukage. Black Zetsu muttered to himself, analyzing and thinking at the same time. With his experience as the mastermind behind the scenes for thousands of years, there must be something strange here. Then? Should we go to the Mizukage building to check? White Zetsu suggested. Then let's go. Black Zetsu had no better idea, so he readily agreed. The yin-yang man slowly sank into the ground and walked towards the Mizukage building. At this time, the defense of the Mizukage building was much laxer than usual because the 3rd Mizukage Bing and his shadow guards had not returned yet, so the black and white yin-yang man sneaked in easily without much effort. In fact, Kingxi and Bing are currently in the Hidden Mist village, but both of them are still seriously injured and unconscious. Otherwise, with their strong perception abilities, if the yin-yang people make any movements, they would be easily discovered. After entering the Mizukage building, Black Zetsu and White Zetsu separated and acted separately in an attempt to find the location of the archive room as quickly as possible. Not long after, good news came from White Zetsu. In the archive room, Black Zetsu and White Zetsu each took half, frantically searching through all the registration files of the Hidden Mist ninja. However, even after they had looked through all the files, they did not find any ninja file that matched Kagaya Seiji. There was not even any ninja named Seiji in other files. Moreover, the other 6 members of the 7 ninja swordsmen that Black Zetsu knew about were all in these files, but Seiji's file was the only one missing. Black Zetsu felt more and more that there was something fishy going on. He didn't know for what reason, but King C's file must have been hidden. There must be another hidden archive room here. In order to avoid any further complications, Black Zetsu acted quickly and soon found an Anbu ninja who was on duty nearby. Yin-yang escape, spirit possession. The black body turned into a pool of indescribable black liquid, silently covering the body of the Anbu ninja, and then controlling him. Then Black Zetsu immediately controlled him to come to the archive room. Yin-yang escape, spiritual fusion. Black Zetsu controlled the Anbu ninjas to form hand seals and open the barrier hidden in the archive room. The chakra fluctuations generated by the barrier being opened were sensed by the other 2 Anbu ninjas. However, when they rushed over to check the situation, they were knocked down by White Zetsu who had been lying in ambush. The 2 Anbu ninjas were instantly turned into 2 corpses. Chapter 138. Seeing the small archive room hidden behind the barrier, Black Zetsu and White Zetsu quickly rushed in and found the ninja files that were specially stored there. These specially stored ninja files were either about ninjas who had made great contributions to the Hidden Mist Village, or ninjas who had reached the level of Cage or above in strength. However, King C is an exception. His file has been here for a long time. Because of the need to hide his identity, the Elder Master proposed and the 3rd generation Mizu Cage Bing agreed to put his file here in advance. He easily found the page with King C's record and began to browse it quickly. The first thing that caught Heizetsu's eyes was King C's photo. King C's true face hidden under the mask finally appeared in front of Heizetsu. Looking at King C's weird face with 2 horns on his forehead, and a vague and eerie sense of familiarity, Black Zetsu's heart suddenly skipped a beat, and a feeling of panic arose, as if something bad was about to happen. Continuing to look down, Black Zetsu's eyes were dulled for a moment. He was completely stunned. At this moment, the only thing left in his eyes was the 3 bright characters Otsutsuki. At this time, Black Zetsu finally recalled where that familiar feeling came from, and the memories deep in his heart were suddenly awakened. Isn't this classic facial feature exactly the appearance of the 2 traitorous brothers who betrayed their mother thousands of years ago when they were young? The only difference might be that King C is much more handsome than those 2. I used software to translate it, and it seems that in Japanese, Otsutsuki is just Otsutsuki. For example, Otsutsuki Momoshiki's Japanese name is Otsutsuki Momoshiki, and Otsutsuki Kinshiki's Japanese name is Otsutsuki Kinshiki, but Otsutsuki Kagaya's Japanese name is, so I'm a little confused. Is there any master who can help me solve this puzzle? No. Impossible. Black Zetsu couldn't accept it. He never thought that coming to the Land of Water to gather information about CG out of curiosity would lead to such a result. Absolutely, impossible. I don't believe it. But what followed was a deep fear. Kagaya Otsutsuki's worries and fears about the Otsutsuki clan were perfectly inherited by Black Zetsu. However, Kagaya Otsutsuki was unaware of the survival of his Heike Otsutsuki. In her opinion, her sneak attack was perfect, as his Heike Otsutsuki had been eaten by the 10 tails, and his Heike at that time did not have the chance to use the wedge to reincarnate. Because of this, Black Zetsu was unaware of the existence of his Heike Otsutsuki. White Zetsu also came over at this time, and when he saw the name Otsutsuki CG, his body also stiffened. As a biological weapon produced by Otsutsuki Kagaya, he knew what this surname meant. However, at this time, there was no time to let Black Zetsu and White Zetsu be stunned or stay any longer. The Anbu Minister Jian had already arrived at the Mizu Cage building. As a barrier to protect important archives, every time it was opened would be monitored by the barrier squad. At present, the 3rd Mizu Cage Bing was not in the Mizu Cage building. Therefore, when the barrier of the archive room was just triggered, this abnormal situation was immediately reported to Jian. Jian, who received the news, immediately realized that someone might have invaded the archive room, so he rushed to the Mizu Cage building as quickly as possible. Jian rushed to the Mizu Cage building and immediately noticed something was wrong. He did not get in touch with the Anbu stationed near the archives room. So Jian made a quick decision and rushed directly into the archives room, but he only found 3 Anbu corpses lying on the ground and did not see any trace of intruders. Before Jian entered the Mizu Cage building, he was observed by the White Zetsu clone, so he immediately contacted the White Zetsu original body. Therefore, before Jian entered the archives room, Black Zetsu and White Zetsu, who did not want to expose their existence, had already merged into one again, becoming a black and white yin and yang man again, and then escaped. However, after Black Zetsu escaped from the hidden mist village, his heart, which was frightened by the sudden sight of the Otsutsuki, gradually calmed down. At this time, he also felt something was wrong. That was Seiji's strength. He saw some scenes of Seiji's battle. In addition, the battle between Seiji and Uchiha Madara relayed by White Zetsu clearly did not meet the standards of the Otsutsuki clan. It was impossible for his mother to be afraid of this level. You know, as the ancestor of Chakra, the Almighty God, and the source of all perverted bloodlines in the ninja world, Kaguya Otsutsuki's strength is extremely terrifying. Seiji is like a firefly competing with the bright moon in front of his mother. Moreover, from the memories inherited by Black Zetsu from his mother, he knows that the authentic Starry Sky Otsutsuki clan disdains to use such childish ninjutsu in the ninja world. Therefore, Black Zetsu can conclude that Seiji must not be the one sent by the Otsutsuki clan to punish his mother. Based on the information he has now, he can infer that Seiji is most likely a member of the Kaguya clan, but his bloodline has changed, causing his eyes to mutate. But as to why he has Otsutsuki as his surname and why no information about Seiji can be found in the Kaguya clan, Black Zetsu is still confused at this time. However, Black Zetsu also had a direction for his next move. Perhaps, there was something wrong with the direction of his investigation. If there were any secrets in the Kaguya clan, they were most likely in the hands of the clan leader. Because he was worried about exposing himself, his investigation did not involve Kaguya Musashi. Therefore, next, he would go to meet the patriarch of the Hyuga clan and try to reach a cooperation with this reckless family, and by the way, he could also use this opportunity to test Kingsee's true identity. Black Zetsu, who has been investigating the Kaguya clan for quite some time, is well aware of how restless this family is at present. As one of the three major families that founded the Hidden Mist Village, the Kaguya clan has gradually drifted away from the Hidden Mist Village ever since the clan members who were close to Kaguya Genji were gradually squeezed out of the power center of the Kaguya clan by Kaguya Musashi. Although they have brought themselves to this point, nearly 90% of the Kaguya clan members, who are simple-minded but strong-limbed, do not think so. Although Kaguya Musashi is quite scheming and skillful, what use is he alone? The Kaguya clan is basically divided into two factions. The radicals believe that the Kaguya clan must take action to regain their position in the Hidden Mist Village, while the conservatives believe that the radicals' ideas are too conservative, and they should find an opportunity to directly stage a coup and return to the power center of the Hidden Mist Village. Kaguya Musashi, who is ambitious and dreams of becoming the fourth Mizukage, is the leader of the conservatives. Chapter 139. In Kingsee's room, Kingsee was lying quietly on the bed, frowning slightly from time to time. It has been quite some time since that Great War. The power of the explosion in the space channel was so terrifying that even Kingsee's strong body suffered serious injuries. It has been more than 3 days since the day he fell into a coma, and Kingsee still hasn't woken up. In fact, Kyoshi's body has been evolving towards the direction of the complete Otsutsuki, and the Otsutsuki clan has a terrifying self-healing ability. 3 days are enough for Kyoshi to repair his internal injuries, but Kyoshi's coma is not entirely caused by physical injuries, but mainly appears in the mental aspect. The space channel is constructed by the Pure Eyes pupil technique. The shattering of the space means that the pupil technique was broken by Uchiha Madara's violent blow. The backlash of the pupil power caused by the broken pupil technique caused a violent shock to the spiritual world. This is the important reason why Kyoshi has been unconscious. But, this is actually a good thing for Kingsee. It is said that after destruction comes construction, good times will come after bad times. Although Kingsee is in a coma, this experience has stimulated the accelerated growth of Kingsee's pure eye. Kingsee's use of time and space will be more adept after this battle. The activation of the pupil technique Takama Giehara will be faster than before, and his pupil power has also increased to a certain extent. Late at night, Kyoshi, who was lying on the bed, had his fingers trembling inadvertently, and then his arm moved slightly unconsciously. Although it was very slight, the movement instantly woke up Yahiko, Nagato, and Konan, who were lying on the bed and taking care of Kyoshi. When Kingsee returned seriously injured, the 3 little ones did not stay at home, but went to the ninja school in the Hidden Mist Village to study under the arrangement of the master, and became transfer students. But when the 3 of them came back from school at night and saw their unconscious teacher, tears immediately burst out uncontrollably. Although they had not spent much time with their teacher Ching Si, the 3 children had already deeply accepted Ching Si in their hearts. Therefore, under their strong request, Master Yuan had no choice but to agree that the three of them would be responsible for taking care of their teacher. The three little ones who were awakened saw Kingxi moving, and their eyes were instantly filled with surprise. Conan immediately rushed out of the room and went next door to call Chino Hoshomi, who had returned to the Hidden Mist village from the Whirlpool country. Except for a part of the ninja troops in the Hidden Mist ninja force of Whirlpool country who were lost in the initial attack by the White Zetsu clones, the remaining ninjas, led by the other 6 members of the 7 ninja swordsmen, returned to the Hidden Mist village safely. In fact, this is also due to the fact that after Uchiha Madara's plan failed, he ordered the White Zetsu clones to give up the pursuit of the Kirigakure ninja troops. After Chino Kizuna returned to the Hidden Mist village, she was invited to the master's home before she had time to rest. When she learned that her 2 younger brothers were seriously injured, she immediately decided to stay and took over Minako Ringo's job so that the most powerful medical ninja in the Hidden Mist village could concentrate on treating the most seriously injured 3rd Mizukage Bing. After China no Hoshoki replaced Minako Ringo, the 3rd Mizukage Bing was secretly transferred to another place by the master. Then he woke up in the evening this day. Although his injuries were still serious, at least he survived. Although China no Hoshoki is not as famous as Minako Ringo, people who are familiar with her know that her current level of medical ninjutsu is very close to Minako Ringo, and she can be called the 2nd best in the Hidden Mist village. Under her careful care, Yagura woke up this morning. Although he was still in a state of mental fatigue caused by Uchiha Madara's powerful illusion, at least it was not serious and he would recover after resting for a while. After receiving Conan's call, Chino Hoshoki immediately came to Kyoshi's room and performed water-style medical ninjutsu. Light blue medical chuk continued to flow into Kyoshi's body. During this process, Chino once again marveled at Kyoshi's abnormal recovery ability. This was the umpteenth time she had marveled at this since she took over Kyoshi's treatment. After a moment, Chino Kizuna turned to the Yuanshi and others who had also heard the news and said, he should be waking up soon. His injuries have basically recovered completely, and his body has begun to show some subconscious reactions now. After hearing what Chino Kizuna said, everyone believed her judgment and lost all desire to sleep. They decided to wait for Cg to wake up. In the early morning, just before dawn, the sky was a little light, and the Hidden Mist village was quiet and peaceful. At this time, a groan came from Kingxi's mouth, startling everyone. Kingxi finally woke up. At the same time when Kingxi woke up, Black Zetsu and White Zetsu were also sorting out some information and preparing to contact the current leader of the Kagaya clan, Kagaya Musashi. At this time, Kagaya Musashi had already gotten up. He was a relatively self-disciplined person. Even after he successfully used means to become the patriarch of the Kagaya clan, he did not change his habit of practicing in the early morning. In the courtyard where the Kagaya clan leader lives, Kagaya Musashi is doing some simple warm-up exercises. This is something he must do every day, in order to always keep his body in an active state, and to maintain his strength and not decline due to the busy clan affairs. After all, the entire Kagaya clan has lost the support of Kirigakure and has almost no source of income. The burden of survival all falls on Kagaya Musashi. However, the strength of the Kagaya clan is the key. The clan members, who are almost all reckless, will not listen to a clan leader who is weaker than them. At the age of 44, Kagaya Musashi is in his prime and can be said to be at the peak of his strength as a ninja. Suddenly, in front of Kagaya Musashi, a pitcher plant slowly rose from the ground, and then the leaves of the pitcher plant opened, revealing a half-black and half-white hermaphrodite inside it. "Hello!" Baizetsu greeted. "Who are you?" Kagaya Musashi was shocked, but his hands did not slow down at all, and he punched Ju, the black and white hermaphrodite, directly with a heavy punch. At the same time, he thought in his heart as coldly as a poisonous snake that someone could actually appear in front of him silently. Those tribesmen who were responsible for patrolling and guarding the tribe's territory were simply wastes. It seemed that it was time to reorganize it again. Chapter 140. Ju quickly sank into the ground, and then reappeared not far away. He had no intention of fighting with Kagaya Musashi. After all, he came here just to discuss cooperation. But who knew that Kagaya Musashi didn't want to let him go, and quickly rushed to the place where Ju appeared again, with bone blades breaking out of his body in his arms. Corpse bone pulse Chun's dance. The already dark color on the right half of Zetsu's face became even darker. Seeing that Kagaya Musashi was so ungrateful, Black Zetsu decided to teach him a lesson. Ju's body completely emerged from the ground, and then he stomped his right foot heavily on the ground. Would release King Kong moves would. An extremely hard tree suddenly broke out from the ground and directly knocked Kagaya Musashi, who was rushing over away. Can we have a good talk now? Chief Musashi. I think there is no need for us to fight, because we have a common enemy. Black Zetsu's hoarse and low voice came, with a bit of bewitching meaning. A flash of cold light flashed across Kagaya Musashi's eyes, and then the fierceness and viciousness contained in them instantly disappeared. He recognized the ninjutsu that had just attacked him, and it turned out to be the wood release that was said to have been lost. Kagaya Musashi tapped the ground with his toes, moving slightly to relieve the pain of being sent flying by wood release. There was a trace of fear in the depths of his eyes, and he stared at the black and white hermaphrodite not far away, with a solemn expression on his face. In his opinion, someone who could use wood release must not be a simple character. Then, Kagaya Musashi exerted force on her feet, stomped hard on the ground, and rushed towards Ju again. On the right side of the black and white yin and yang man, Black Zetsu's face looked even worse, although no one could see it. He knew that the Hyuga clan was reckless, but he didn't expect them to be so reckless. They didn't listen to him at all and didn't even give him a chance to bewitch him. However, for Kagaya Musashi, although he also has a reckless element, he is not as reckless as other members of the Kagaya clan. He is very able to keep his composure and control his desire to fight. Although he is also curious about the common enemy that Black Zetsu mentioned, he still wants to try whether this black and white hermaphrodite has the ability to cooperate with himself and his Kagaya clan. The wood release just now cannot convince him. The Kagaya clan only believes in their fists, and even if they really cooperate, Kagaya Musashi must take the initiative. Bone spurs kept popping out from all over Kagaya Musashi's body, attacking Ju madly, and the attack became more and more fierce. Shake bone pulse dance of Karamatsu. Seeing Kagaya Musashi coming at him aggressively, Ju kept backing away, dodging. Kagaya Musashi pressed forward step by step, taking mysterious steps, her body constantly spinning and jumping, attacking forward, and the bone spurs that emerged from various parts of her body constantly scratched Ju's body. Black Zetsu was very helpless at this time. Neither he nor White Zetsu were good at physical skills, so they were inevitably stretched to the limit when facing a physical skills ninja like Kagaya Musashi. Kagaya Musashi made another slash with the bone blade in his hand. At this time, White Zetsu on the left half of the body raised his left hand to actively meet the attack. The sharp bone blade cut off White Zetsu's left arm at the root, but this was not a serious injury to White Zetsu. Instead, he used this to create some distance between himself and Kagaya Musashi. Wood release, violent spear tree. The white arm that fell to the ground suddenly rioted, and in the blink of an eye it grew into a towering tree, entangled Kagaya Musashi in it. Wood release tree bound eternal burial. Before Kagaya Musashi could break free, Zetsu's next move had already been used. Under Zetsu's control, the big tree slowly dragged Kagaya Musashi into the ground. At the same time, the tree continued to shrink and squeeze inward, trying to directly swallow Kagaya Musashi. Very good. Kagaya Musashi relied on his strong body to withstand Zetsu's wood release and laughed, this is what fighting is all about. I, Kagaya Musashi, admit that you are qualified to cooperate with me. Corpse vein dance of the early ferns. Dense bone spurs continued to emerge from the ground, and the thick trees created by wood release were instantly cut into pieces by the bone spurs. When Ju sensed the chakra riot, he quickly jumped backwards and left the area. Having achieved the desired result, Kagaya Musashi also controlled the scale of the early fern dance and did not expand its range. Kagaya Musashi emerged from the top of a thick bone spur and did not continue to attack. The bones that emerged from various parts of the body gradually retracted. At this time, the noise of fierce fighting finally reminded the Hyuga people in the clan that their clan leader was under attack, so the senior ninjas in the clan came here one after another, and the main reason was that Shan Shan came late. Kagaya Musashi looked a little unhappy. These idiots were too slow to react. They only came here after the battle was over. Kagaya Musashi's face flushed, and he felt that he had lost face in front of Zetsu, his future partner. The powerful Kagaya clan, 90% off Aquarius. He waved his hands angrily at his tribesmen, indicating that he was fine. After driving away these tribesmen who were too busy fighting to keep up, Kagaya Musashi used the ability of the corpse bone vein to control the bones left over from the battle, forming two chairs, sat down, and then signaled Ju to sit down and talk. Seeing Kagaya Musashi's actions, Black Zetsu cursed him inwardly as a madman, but he also knew that he accepted his statement, so he did not keep him in suspense any longer. After sitting down, he directly pointed out the common enemy he had just mentioned, Kagaya Seiji. Black Zetsu also had his own plans. He directly gave Kagaya's surname to Seiji. Although he was very sure that Seiji was from the Kagaya clan, he still wanted to test it. Moreover, although he was sure that he had erased all the information about Otsutsuki in the ninja world, for a family like Kagaya that has been passed down for thousands of years and is also a descendant of the Otsutsuki family, he was not sure whether some secret information would be passed down, so he never thought about mentioning Otsutsuki. Hearing the name uttered by Black Zetsu, Kagaya Musashi's heart skipped a beat, but there was no expression on his face. Although what Black Zetsu said hit his heart, he had been very upset since he learned about Seiji. The fish that slipped through the net back then has now grown to become the captain of the Shadow Guard, and has become his biggest worry and the biggest obstacle to his plan for the position of the 4th Mizukage, but he doesn't want to cooperate with this black and white yin-yang man so passively. There is no such person as you mentioned in our clan. Kagaya Musashi said calmly, and his face did not reveal the turmoil in his heart at all. Why would Chief Musashi deny it? Black Zetsu's tone was teasing and confident. Since I came here to find you, it means I am absolutely sure of what I said. Chapter 141. After hearing this, Kagaya Musashi knew that this half-black and half-white guy must have done an in-depth investigation on his situation. He would have to find a way to deal with Kyoshi anyway, so it would be okay to cooperate with this guy. At least this guy who could use wood release was definitely not from the Hidden Mist Village. The Hidden Mist Village could not cultivate a user of wood release, so it would be more accurate to say that he was from Konoha. But he didn't expect that Black Zetsu didn't know the relationship and grudge between him and Kyoshi. The vague statement was just a test. He didn't expect that this would be a blessing in disguise. Moreover, Kagaya Musashi has always been a gloomy and scheming villain. If you put yourself in his shoes, it is easy for you to think too much. With all kinds of imagination, he fell directly into Black Zetsu's trap. After a moment of silence and a quick weighing of the issues in his mind, Kagaya Musashi nodded and said, "In that case, let's cooperate." Hidden Mist Village, Hidden Mist Hospital. When the 3rd Mizukage Bing woke up, he was sent to the Kirigakure Hospital by Minako Ringo. There were more complete equipment and a wider variety of medicinal herbs there, which could speed up Bing's recovery. At this time, in the ward, Master Yuan and Ching Si, who had just woken up, were sitting on stools beside the ice bed. Thanks to his strong body's ability to recover and the Otsutsuki's strong constitution, Seiji quickly regained control of his body not long after waking up, not like a ninja who had been in a coma for a long time. After a big meal to fill his stomach, Seiji learned that the 3rd Mizukage Hiri had also woken up, so he went to the Kirigakure Hospital with his grandfather Yuanchi. "Little Kingsi, we are really grateful to you this time. Otherwise, our Kirigakure village would be finished." Bing was lying on the hospital bed, grinning bitterly at Master Yuan and Kingsi. He also knew that if Kingsi had not arrived in time, he might have fallen into the control of Uchiha Madara's illusion. Just imagine what the result would be waiting for him in the Kirigakure village. "So, what happened to you this time? Is there anyone in the ninja world today who has the strength to defeat you both at the same time?" Yuanchi was very puzzled and asked, waiting for Bing and Kingsi to ask him for answers. Since the death of the two perverts in Konoha, it was hard for him to imagine what kind of powerful enemy could have beaten the two of them so seriously. Master Yuan only learned from Yagura that they were attacked during the retreat, and that the enemy possessed a 3 Megatama Sharingan. After all, Yagura was defeated by the illusion of the Sharingan. But he did not know more information because Yagura was defeated too quickly. Moreover, it was not long since Seiji had just woken up, and Master Yuan had no time to ask before he and Seiji came to the Kirigakure Hospital together. After a brief silence, thinking that he could not compete with Uchiha Madara even if he tried his best, the fear of being easily defeated by him surged into his heart again. Bing's expression was gloomy, and he spoke with difficulty, "It's Uchiha Madara." The master seemed not to have heard clearly, but also seemed to have heard clearly but couldn't believe it. "Did I hear it wrong, or did you say it wrong? Is it the Uchiha Madara I was thinking of?" His tone couldn't help but rise a little. "Yes." Kingsi took over the conversation and confirmed Bing's statement. "How is it possible?" The master was in a trance for a moment. He recalled the fear of the ninja world being dominated by the two perverts, Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara. How is it possible that he is still alive? Wasn't he clearly killed by Senju Hashirama? It's okay for Hashirama Senju. Although he is powerful and unrivaled, he longs for peace in his heart and will not take the initiative to start a war. For this reason, he even sold the captured tailed beasts to the other ninja villages at the first 5-cage summit. But Uchiha Madara is different. He is a killer. Otherwise, he wouldn't have the title of Shura of the ninja world. Uchiha Madara doesn't care about war or anything. He has already left Konoha. Since he is still alive, he must be brewing a terrible plan if he hasn't appeared for so many years. Originally, there was Hashirama Senju who could suppress him in the ninja world, but now Hashirama Senju is gone. There is no one in the ninja world who can be a match for Uchiha Madara. When Master Yuan thought of this, he shook his head bitterly. The examples of Bing and Kingxi being seriously injured were right in front of him. Master Yuan subconsciously thought that Uchiha Madara was still as strong as before, and therefore ignored Uchiha Madara's age. "Grandpa, don't be so pessimistic." Kingxi saw the expression on Master Yuan's face and knew that he was overthinking. Uchiha Madara is now an old man with half of his body buried in the ground. Even maintaining his strength is done with the help of some external forces. Indeed, his image is completely different from before. With his arrogance, how could he change his image if it was not necessary? Bing nodded and agreed with Kingxi's statement. He remembered the white Afei coat wrapped around Uchiha Madara's body. The Mizu cage probably didn't see it. Kingxi thought about it and adjusted his words. After all, he had to take the third Mizu cage Bing's feelings into consideration. Being beaten up by Uchiha Madara was not a glorious thing. When Uchiha Madara fought with me later, he took off the white coat that was wrapped around him. His face was very old and his hair was all white. Uchiha Madara is old. The reason he can have such strength is all thanks to that white thing. I can see it very clearly with my eyes. Kingxi opened his pure eye and signaled to Bing and Yuanqi. Then he briefly introduced the ability of his pure eye to the two of them. Kingxi believed that his current strength should be the strongest in the Hidden Mist village, so now he has nothing to hide about these basic information. Before, Bing and Yuanqi only knew that Kingxi's eyes had abilities related to time and space, but they didn't know anything else. After listening to Kingxi's introduction this time, they were surprised to find that Kingxi's awakened pure eye was simply an enhanced version of the Hyuga Byakugan. In addition to the abilities of the Byakugan, it also had unique eye techniques. The two were very excited about this, and even the threat posed by Uchiha Madara being alive was temporarily put aside. The Hidden Mist village now finally had their own Byakugan. After all, for a ninja village, the Byakugan was really a strategic eye technique bloodline. The major ninja villages had long coveted the Hyuga clan. If it weren't for the bird in the cage, the Hyuga clan's eyes might have been gouged out long ago. However, since the pure eye was mentioned, Ching Si also revealed some of the truth about the ninja world that could be made public to Bing and Yuanqi. With his current strength and status, this information could already be disclosed to people with sufficient status. The two were stunned after hearing this. They didn't expect that the ninja world actually buried so many secrets. Chapter 142. After listening to the story, Bing and Yuanqi remained silent for a long time. They were shocked by the truth of the ninja world and were speechless. Kingxi did not disturb them and also remained quiet. While waiting for them to digest the information he said, he silently felt his own state. After waking up from the coma, he vaguely felt that he had become much stronger. After a long while, Master Yuan was the first to come back to his senses, and asked with a little trepidation, "So, Xiao Kingxi, is this Otsutsuki of yours the same Otsutsuki you just mentioned?" Kingxi nodded. "God bless Kirigakure." At this time, Bing also calmed down. He already knew what the Otsutsuki was like. Seeing CG nodding in affirmation, he couldn't help but get excited. Uchiha Madara was just a piece of trash. We in Kirigakure have a real Otsutsuki. As long as CG continues to grow up, the prosperity of Kirigakure will be just around the corner. The same is true for the master. After knowing the secrets and truth of the ninja world described by Kingxi, the news that Uchiha Madara is still alive is no longer so important to the Hidden Mist village. Bing and Yuanqi exchanged a glance, then his eyes became firm. He had made a decision, "Xiao Kingxi, after the Ninja World War is over, the position of Mizu Cage will be handed over to you. I am already old, and I was seriously injured this time. The meridians in my body are almost broken. I can probably only support one more full-strength attack." Master Yuan didn't say anything, he also agreed with Bing's decision. Hearing this, Kingxi's heart moved slightly. After thinking about it for a while, he decided to agree. Becoming the Mizu Cage would make it more convenient for him to implement some of his plans later. When Bing and Yuanxi saw that Kingxi agreed, they both smiled with satisfaction. They believed that under Kingxi's leadership, the Hidden Mist Village would reach the pinnacle of the ninja world. At the same time, two special guests arrived at Seiji's home, a pair of siblings from the Uzumaki clan, 10-year-old brother Uzumaki Shinki and 9-year-old sister Uzumaki Kana. Uzumaki Shinki, who was born in the early 26th year of Kirigakure, is the oldest boy in the Uzumaki clan brought back by Seiji, and also the strongest one. Therefore, it is natural for him to become the patriarch of the Uzumaki clan in Kirigakure village. At this time, the brother and sister were at Kingxi's house, sitting quietly waiting for Kingxi and Yuanxi to come back. Suddenly, there were whispers nearby, "Nagato! Look! Their hair color is the same as yours." Hearing the voice, the brother and sister turned their heads to look in the direction where the voice came from. When they saw Nagato's bright fiery red hair, which was very similar to theirs, their eyes were shocked. Uzumaki Shinki suddenly stood up and rushed towards Nagato excitedly. Having awakened Kagura's mind-eye, he sensed the blood in Nagato's body that came from the same source as his the moment he saw Nagato, which also allowed him to confirm Nagato's identity. He never thought that he would see another member of the Uzumaki clan in the Hidden Mist Village. Nagato looked at Shinki, who was rushing towards him with an excited look on his face, and took a step back slightly. Being a shy person, he was not quite used to dealing with strangers. "Hello. I'm Uzumaki Shinki. What's your name?" Uzumaki Shinki asked Nagato. Nagato was silent. Looking at the red hair of Shinki and Kana, he vaguely understood something. Then he looked at Shinki and said softly, "Nagato, my name is Nagato." Xingxi was stunned for a moment. He didn't have a last name? Xingxi was about to speak when footsteps were heard, and Kingxi and Yuanxi came back. Kingxi's eyes quickly swept over and he understood instantly. It seemed that the Uzumaki clan had come to the house for something, and they happened to run into Nagato, but that was also good, since they had already run into each other. He could ask Nagato what he thought and see if he was willing to take the Uzumaki surname again. Kingxi waved at Nagato, and Nagato saw his teacher's gesture, so he ran over obediently. Kingxi reached out and rubbed Nagato's head, and rubbed Nagato's soft red hair. "Nagato, these two are your clansmen." Kingxi smiled at Nagato, and then said, "The Whirlpool country and the Uzumaki clan no longer exist. The only remaining Uzumaki clan are in our Hidden Mist Village." Kiyoshi knew that there was another Uzumaki Kushina in Konoha, but he subconsciously ignored her. The essence of the Uzumaki clan had become a part of the Hidden Mist Village, so Uzumaki Kushina could be regarded as alms to Konoha. "So, my name should be Uzumaki Nagato." A trace of confusion appeared on Nagato's childish face. When he first heard about the Uzumaki clan, he fell into confusion. "Yes." Uzumaki Shinki responded, "I can sense the blood aura in your body that is very similar to ours." Nagato couldn't accept it for a while. After his parents were killed by Konoha ninjas, he had been wandering alone in the Rain Country, but he hadn't seen any so-called clan members come out to help him. Also, his parents had never told him any information about the Uzumaki clan. Watching the constantly changing expressions on Nagato's face, Kingxi knew that it would be difficult for him to make a decision right away. Although most children in the ninja world mature very early, Nagato was only 7 years old at this time. "Don't be anxious, go back and think about it carefully," Kingxi said gently to his disciple, then called Yahiko and Konan to take Nagato back to their own room. Then, Kingxi turned his gaze to Uzumaki Shinki and Uzumaki Kana behind him. "You are Shinki, right? That is your sister Kana." Although Kingxi used a question, his tone was quite certain. As for the Uzumaki people he brought back personally, Kingxi certainly had the information of all of them. "Yes. Lord Kiyoshi." Shinki answered respectfully. Although the Uzumaki clan and the Hidden Mist Village were just a transaction, they did get the chance to continue their bloodline and survive. And it was with the help of Kiyoshi that they escaped the siege of the Hidden Cloud Village. Therefore, Shinki, who had already shouldered the heavy responsibility of revitalizing the Uzumaki clan, was still very grateful to Kiyoshi. "So what important matter has brought you here?" Ching-si asked doubtfully. Ever since he brought back these people from the Uzumaki clan, he has never had any contact with them again, and the subsequent arrangements were basically handled by Master Yuan. Actually, Uzumaki Shinki originally wanted to keep this matter secret, but considering that they have already joined the Hidden Mist Village, and this kind of thing will be exposed sooner or later. It would be better to reveal it earlier and see if he could use it to gain some rights for their Uzumaki clan and speed up their integration into the Hidden Mist village. Moreover, this morning, his Kagura mind's eye inadvertently sensed the chakra aura of Kiyoshige. He recalled that before leaving Uzushio village, the old clan leader Uzumaki Ashina told him that Kiyoshige could be trusted, and that he could ask Kiyoshi for help if he had any problems that he found difficult to handle, so he decisively went to Kiyoshige's house. Uzumaki Shinki still believed in the words of the old clan leader who had the same ability as him, Kagura's mind eye. He knew that this ability was very accurate in judging people's hearts. Therefore, after weighing the pros and cons, he finally decided to take the initiative to inform the trustworthy Seiji about this matter. It is better to tell him proactively than to be discovered passively by the Hidden Mist village later. What's more, the Uzumaki clan is now like a catfish on the chopping board, to put it bluntly. Even if the Hidden Mist village really has some ideas about his sister, he can't stop it at all. So, it is better for him to tell him proactively and seek Kingxi's help. It can only be said that suffering will accelerate a person's growth. The 10-year-old Uzumaki Shinki has grown rapidly in the past few days since he came to the Hidden Mist village, and now he can be said to be an initially qualified clan leader. Chapter 143. Uzumaki Shinki pulled his sister Uzumaki Kana to his side, paused for a moment, and continued to organize his words in his heart, then hesitantly said, "My sister suddenly awakened a very special physique in our Uzumaki clan 2 days ago. Grandpa Ashina said that Master Seiji can be trusted, so we want to ask for his help. I am not sure whether the ability of physical healing is innate or needs to be awakened like the bloodline limit. I have not found relevant information, but I guess that the physique that produces this ability should be innate, but the specific ability should be awakened later." Kingxi understood a little, and then it dawned on him that he remembered that there was indeed a special physique in the Uzumaki clan, with a powerful ability of physical healing. By biting the skin of an Uzumaki member with this physique, one could quickly restore one's own or other people's chakra and injuries. It seems that this little girl named Uzumaki Kana has this kind of physique. Don't stand here, sit down and talk. At this time, Master Yuan interrupted and asked several people to sit down. After Kingxi sat down, he asked, he wanted to confirm again, is it the ability of physical healing? Yes. Uzumaki Shinki nodded. As expected, Lord Kingji knew our Uzumaki clan very well and even knew this kind of information. After hearing this, the master on the side was immediately excited. He had some understanding of the Uzumaki clan's physical healing and knew that this ability would play a great role in treating the injuries of the third Mizukage Bing. However, he did not speak. He knew that since Xingxi took the initiative to expose this ability, he must have some requirements for the Hidden Mist village. If Kingxi had not been there, the master who learned of this news would most likely have taken forceful action to ask the Uzumaki clan to voluntarily contribute this ability to heal the third Mizukage Bing. After all, to Kirigakure, the importance of the Mizukage far exceeds that of the Uzumaki clan, which has not yet grown up. But after all, the Uzumaki clan found Kiyoshi, and Kiyoshi has been confirmed to become the fourth Mizukage after the end of this Ninja World War, so this matter can be left to Kiyoshi to handle. Very good. Kingxi was a little excited. He really didn't expect that among the Uzumaki people he brought back, there was such ability. He understood this ability much deeper than Master Yuan. He knew clearly that physical healing was not only effective for treatment, but could go a step further and completely heal the injuries of the third Mizukage Bing. I know that frequent use of this ability will be harmful to your sister's body. Therefore, I can promise you on behalf of the Hidden Mist village that we will not conduct any human experiments on your sister, and we will not ask her to use this ability unless it is absolutely necessary or unless your sister takes the initiative. Kingxi also knew that Xingxi must have some request when he took the initiative to talk about this, so it would be better for him to give him a reassurance first. Of course, Kiyoshi is not a good person, but he is about to become the Mizukage, so some of his thinking needs to be considered from the overall perspective. Since he has brought the Uzumaki clan back, they are part of the Hidden Mist village and our companions. Kiyoshi will not take evil actions like forcing or coercing his companions. After hearing Kiyoshi's reply, Uzumaki Shinki felt that he had gotten a result that was far better than he had expected. With Kagura's mind's eye, he could sense that everything Kiyoshi said was sincere. Thank you very much. Uzumaki Shinki stood up and bowed deeply to Seiji. Uzumaki Kana also stood up hurriedly. The matter was resolved satisfactorily. As the person involved, she certainly had to express her gratitude to Seiji. Ching Si saw the actions of the brother and sister, waved to them, and said at the same time, "Don't rush to thank me, of course there are conditions." After a pause, King Si looked at Uzumaki Shinki and Uzumaki Kana calmly, seeing that they had no objection, so he nodded with satisfaction and continued, speaking a little slower, "The Mizukage-sama was seriously injured before, and his recovery has not been very ideal so far." Uzumaki Shinki understood immediately, knowing that this was the exchange of the promise made by Seiji, and that he needed his sister to heal the third Mizukage. But just as he was about to speak, Uzumaki Kana beside him said first, "Kana feels honored to be able to do her part for the Hidden Mist Village and the Mizukage." When Master Yuan heard this, he looked at Ching Si and said, "Little Ching Si, there is no time to lose, let's go to the Kirigakure hospital again." King Si thought about it for a while and then nodded. Although Uzumaki Kana had just awakened a few days ago and was still young, he was confident that with his help, there would be no negative impact on Uzumaki Kana's body. "Then let's go," King Si said to Master Yuan, then turned to Uzumaki Shinki who looked worried, and said to him comfortingly, "Relax. I'm here, and I won't let your sister get hurt." Uzumaki Shinki could sense that there was no falsehood in the confidence contained in King Si's words. "Then thank you for your care, Lord King Si. I will go back to the clan first, and I will trouble Lord King Si to send Channa home later." The Uzumaki clan welcomes Lord King Si to visit at any time. Chapter 144. Soon, Yuanshi and King Si brought Uzumaki Kana to the ward where Bing was again. Bing was surprised to see the two people go and come back, but when he heard that Uzumaki Kana had the ability of physical healing, his whole body trembled with excitement. As the Kage of a village, although he already had a perfect successor in Seiji, as a Kage-level ninja who was originally very powerful, he still felt extremely depressed because he only had one chance to attack with all his strength. It seems that his old bones can still fight for the Hidden Mist Village for a while. At this time, Bing was very glad that he believed in and implemented King Si's plan about the Uzumaki clan. If he had followed his original method and worked with the Hidden Cloud Village to destroy the Whirlpool country and the Uzumaki clan, then now he would either be controlled by Uchiha Madara and lead the Hidden Mist Village into the abyss, or escape by luck but be seriously injured and unable to be cured. It can be said that everything is destined by fate. Bing certainly had some understanding of this ability of the Uzumaki clan, and he couldn't help but think of an old rogue named Uzumaki Michihiko, whom he had fought against during the transition period between the Warring States period and the Ninja Village period. Normal ninja fights are all about chakra, ninjutsu, and physical skills, but this guy is just coming up to fight you. The key is that he himself is fine. After both sides are injured in the battle, he bites himself and then revives with full health in an instant. He is simply a rogue to the extreme. The third Mizukage Bing looked at Uzumaki Kana who was following behind Seiji, and asked Seiji, "Is this the girl?" Seiji nodded and introduced her to Bing. "Her name is Uzumaki Kana." Uzumaki Kana timidly poked her little head out from behind Seiji, pretending to be a little adult, and greeted Bing, "Hello, Grandpa Mizukage, I'm Uzumaki Kana. Please give me your guidance." Bing looked at Channa and couldn't help showing a kind smile on his face. It was hard not to like this sensible little girl. But then, Bing frowned slightly and asked King Si, "She shouldn't be too old, right? Is it okay?" Bing, who had already decided to pass the position of Mizukage to Seiji, had begun to change his mind and started to care more about the younger generation of Kirigakure. Therefore, he was more worried that if he was healed, would it have any negative impact on Uzumaki Kana's still growing body. If he was still the Mizukage, he would not care about these things with his cold personality. Although he also loved the Hidden Mist Village deeply, he was a werewolf who had the heart to implement the Blood Mist policy in the village. Therefore, he would not hesitate between his own body and the body of his junior. He would rather sacrifice Uzumaki Kana's potential than to heal his own body. King Si certainly understood what Bing meant. He was also very happy to see the change in the thinking of the third Mizukage who was very kind to him. "Don't worry, Mizukage-sama. With my help, she won't have any problems." "Well, that's good." Bing felt relieved. At this moment, he was like a kind old grandfather next door, full of love for the younger generation. Uzumaki Kana took the initiative to walk to Bing's bedside and without any hesitation, she decisively stretched out her slender arm. Seeing this, King Si also came to the bedside and gently placed his hand on Uzumaki Kana's thin shoulder. Bing hesitated a little, but with the affirmative look in King Si's eyes, she opened her mouth and gently bit Uzumaki Kana's arm. Although Bing's movements were very gentle, the chakra in Uzumaki Kana's body flowed out as quickly as if a floodgate had been opened, causing her to scream out in surprise. Bing could feel his shattered meridians and body recovering quickly, but when he heard Uzumaki Kana's cry of pain, he subconsciously opened his mouth. Kingxi had already opened his pure eyes at this time and was keeping a close eye on Bing and Kana's situation. "Lord Mizukage, go ahead. There's no problem," Kyoshi said as he carefully controlled his chakra to continuously enter Uzumaki Kana's body. With the replenishment from Kingxi, Uzumaki Kana quickly recovered, and Bing's physical condition was also constantly recovering. After a while, Bing's complexion began to become rosy. Soon, Bing recovered with the help of his physical healing ability and Kingxi. Feeling the chakra filling his body again, the feeling of full power made Bing realize a lot, but he still did not change his decision. In his opinion, Kingxi now has enough capacity and ability to succeed him as the new generation of Mizukage of Kirigakure and lead Kirigakure to the top of the ninja world that has never been reached before. "Lord Mizukage, are you interested in taking in a few disciples to train?" Yuanshi suddenly suggested when he saw that Bing had recovered and got up from the hospital bed. He also liked Uzumaki Kana, a girl who knew the big picture and when to advance and retreat. Oh! Bing was a little confused for a moment, but it made sense. Whether before or after he became the third Mizukage, he had no experience in teaching students. Therefore, when he heard Master Yuan's proposal, he, who had already decided to retire from the position of Mizukage, couldn't help but become interested. Then he changed his mind and guessed what the master was thinking. Accepting Uzumaki Kana as a disciple would not only help cultivate talented younger generations for the village, but also protect Uzumaki Kana. After all, her ability was already a strategic level ability. Moreover, it would also speed up the Uzumaki clan's integration into the village, strengthen the ties between the Uzumaki clan and the village, and take the lead for other families in the village. "You see, as your boss, I have personally taken in a young girl from the Uzumaki clan as my disciple. From now on, the Uzumaki clan will be protected by me, the third Mizukage. You major families must not fail to give face to me, the boss, and you must get along well with the Uzumaki clan." So, Bing, who understood Master Yuan's intention, smiled at Master Yuan, then looked at Uzumaki Kana and asked softly, "Are you willing to be my disciple?" Uzumaki Kana had guessed something in her mind when the master spoke just now. When she heard Bing speak, she immediately responded respectfully, "Kana greets the teacher." Uzumaki Kana is also a smart girl. She knows that once she becomes the disciple of the third Mizukage Bing, the Uzumaki clan will be able to gain a firm foothold in the Hidden Mist village. This will also greatly reduce the pressure faced by her brother Uzumaki Shinki. It will also be of great benefit to her own development. Moreover, it would be difficult for anyone in the Hidden Mist village to refuse to become a disciple of the third Mizukage. Therefore, she agreed without hesitation. Chapter 145. Upon seeing this, Master Yuan couldn't help but show a look of relief. Ever since his old friend decided to give up the responsibility of being the Mizukage, he has changed more and more. He is no longer as extreme as before. Bing was also very happy. Although he had a certain purpose in accepting Uzumaki Kana as his disciple, who wouldn't want to have a sensible, obedient, and cute disciple? Kingxi was also very happy. He had been worrying about how to increase the Uzumaki clan's sense of belonging to the Hidden Mist village and integrate them into the village as soon as possible. Unexpectedly, his grandfather and the third Mizukage solved this problem easily. It can only be said that old people are more experienced. Of course, Kingxi also thought about taking in disciples, but on the one hand, he already had 3 disciples, Yahiko, Nagato, and Konan, and he didn't have that much energy to take in other disciples. In addition, Nagato was actually from the Uzumaki clan. Although the Uzumaki clan was not so serious, it was not easy for him to take in another disciple from the Uzumaki clan. On the other hand, although Kingxi was now the captain of the 7 ninja swordsmen and had some fame in the village, his prestige was still far inferior to that of the third Mizukage Bing, and the third Mizukage Bing had never had a precedent of taking in disciples, so Kingxi had never thought about this, and Kingxi had never thought that his grandfather Yuanshi could actually convince the third Mizukage Bing to take in disciples. Therefore, it is indeed the best choice to break the deadlock for the third Mizukage Bing to take Uzumaki Kana as his disciple. Time passed quickly, and more than a month had passed in the blink of an eye. Although the third Mizukage Bing had recovered from his injuries and returned to the Mizukage building to work, he had gradually begun to allow Kingxi to get involved in and handle some government affairs. Of course, during this period, Kingji did not forget his 3 lovely disciples. They would go to the Kirigakure ninja school to study during the day, and when they returned home at night, Kingji would give them targeted teachings. The 3 little ones were naturally gifted, and under Qingxi's guidance, they made exceptionally rapid progress and their strength grew very quickly. The time came to the end of April in the 36th year of Kirigakure. The Ninja World War intensified. Sand Village in Konoha, Iwagakure and Konoha, Iwagakure and Amegakure, Iwagakure and Kumigakure, Iwagakure and Sand Village, Amegakure and Konoha. Between the various parties, in the small land of the Rain Country, and on the borders of each party took turns to fight and enjoyed themselves. Although large-scale battles between thousands or even tens of thousands of ninjas have never broken out, small-scale clashes occur almost every day. After a long period of secret preparation, Konoha finally gathered enough forces at the border between the Land of Fire and the Land of Rain. A total of 1,500 elite ninjas, at the lowest level of Chunin, were ready to go at the border. The deployment of these elite ninjas was carried out in secret, and they also needed to prepare enough strategic materials such as kunao, shuriken, detonating tags, and military pills, so it took a long time. Under the leadership of Commander Orochimaru, Jiraiya and Tsunade, Konoha only left a small number of ninjas in the camp to deal with the investigation of the Rain Country and create some minor troubles for the Rain Country from time to time in order to confuse Hanzo. All other ninjas quietly took the river country and entered the territory of the Rain Country. However, little did people know that with the help of Danzo Shimura, Hanzo had already known Konoha's battle plan. Danzo had leaked Konoha's battle plan completely. Therefore, Hanzo had been waiting for this surprise attack launched by Konoha for a long time. Hanzo was ready to give Konoha a big surprise. He wanted to keep all the elite troops of Konoha who came to invade the Hidden Rain village. Boom! A dazzling flash of lightning streaked across the sky, like a giant silver dragon tearing through the sky with its fangs and claws, followed by a deafening thunder, as if the heaven and earth were shaking. At this moment, the originally calm sky suddenly became gloomy, and dark clouds quickly gathered together to form a dark sky. Then, bean-sized raindrops began to fall one after another, and in the blink of an eye it turned into a downpour. At the front of Konoha's surprise attack force, Orochimaru suddenly stopped and gestured to the back to stop moving forward. The snake's keen sense of danger gave him a sense of foreboding. The Konoha ninjas behind him saw the commander's action and quickly stopped, showing the elite ninja quality of being highly disciplined. Orochimaru. Jiraiya and Tsunade asked in confusion, looking around constantly. Orochimaru stopped and looked around silently. This was a huge basin located in the valley. After passing through here, it would not take long to reach the Hidden Rain village. Something's wrong. Orochimaru suddenly said, I always feel. Before the words fell, violent chakra fluctuations began to resonate in the air, and everyone in Konoha was shocked. Countless rain ninjas appeared at the heights around the basin, looking down at the Konoha ninjas who had been surrounded by them, with their hands flying. Water release, Great Waterfall Technique. This is the water jutsu launched jointly by the Amegakure ninjas, coupled with the heavy rain that seemed as if God was helping them. Endless waterfalls continuously rushed towards the Konoha ninjas in the basin. This wave was called the flooding of Konoha. Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and Tsunade looked at the countless rain ninjas that suddenly appeared from all directions, and the water escape technique that was like a natural disaster of terrifying scale. Their faces changed drastically, the information was leaked, we were ambushed. At this moment, their brains were like a ball of paste, they clenched their teeth, and lost their composure for a moment. Such a secret action was a combat plan directly decided by the top leaders of Konoha. Even the Konoha ninjas who participated in the surprise attack were not informed of the ultimate goal of the action until they entered the territory of the Rain Country. However, they did not expect that this perfect battle plan in the eyes of Orochimaru, Jiraiya and Tsunade was ambushed by Hanzo of the Salamander and the Hidden Rain ninja who had returned from the front line before they reached the Hidden Rain village. However, now that they have fallen into Yuyan's ambush, their only chance of survival is to fight to the death. Chapter 146. Orochimaru was the first to calm down. There was no other way. If he, as the commander, panicked, these elite ninjas of Konoha would be doomed to die. Afterwards, Jiraiya and Tsunade also calmed down. They also had to fulfill their responsibilities as commanders and lead the Konoha ninjas to break out of the siege and preserve their manpower as much as possible. Under the command of the three men, these elite ninjas of Konoha gradually got rid of their panic and began to defend in an orderly manner. Jiraiya took the lead and led the ninjas who were proficient in earth escape techniques. Hundreds of ninjas began to form hand seals together and completed their ninjutsu at the moment before the impact came. Earth escape 10,000 miles of earth current wall. A thick earth wall quickly rose from the ground, blocking the surging flood outside, giving the Konoha ninjas a place to stay. However, this was not enough. If the wall was only made by earth escape technique, when the water volume reached a certain level and generated enough pressure, it would no longer be able to stop the flow. So, under Jiraiya's order, the earth escape ninjas continued to form seals. Earth escape earthquake core. As chakra continued to flow into the underground, large areas of land that had been flooded began to sink continuously, eventually completely accommodating all the floods. However, despite Konoha's timely response, a small number of ninjas still died in the first wave of ninjutsu attacks from the Hidden Rain clan. Hanzo instantly appeared in front of the Rain ninjas and swung the sickle in his hand heavily in the direction of the Konoha ninjas. After receiving the signal from their leader, the Rain ninjas rushed towards the Konoha people who were surrounded by them like tigers descending from the mountains. At this moment, Hanzo was filled with pride and was ready to annihilate all the Konoha ninjas. Psychic Art. Hanzo quickly formed hand seals and summoned the salamander Inobushi. Then, at his signal, Inobushi went underground and went to cooperate with his subordinates to kill all the Konoha ninjas as soon as possible. Hanzo himself shot towards Orochimaru, Jiraiya and Tsunade like an arrow. With the information he bought from Danzo, he certainly knew that the commanders of these Konoha ninjas were the three disciples of his defeated opponent, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. To catch a thief, you must first catch the leader. Hanzo plans to behead the commander of Konoha first. Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and Tsunade also saw the attacking Hanzo at this time. Coincidentally, they also wanted to kill Hanzo first. As disciples of the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, and from Konoha, the strongest ninja village in the ninja world, the three of them were extremely confident in their own strength. They were confident that with the tacit cooperation of the three, they could defeat Hanzo. On the battlefield, the high-end combat power between Konoha and Kirigakure came to the same conclusion at the same time. Swordsmanship, IAI/. The sickle in Hanzo's hand cut through the air and slashed towards Orochimaru in front of him at an extremely fast speed. Although Orochimaru was confident in his own strength, he did not dare to take the knife head-on and quickly dodged. Hanzo slashed the air with his sword, turned around quickly, adjusted his posture, and then kicked Orochimaru hard. Orochimaru failed to dodge this time and was kicked away instantly, but Orochimaru was prepared and had already prepared the seal of the substitution technique. His body flying in the air quickly decomposed and turned into small white snakes that fell to the ground, and then reunited not far away. Orochimaru's golden snake eyes flashed a trace of solemnity, and at the same time he stretched out his long tongue to lick the corner of his mouth, and a flash of crimson passed by. After a simple fight, he found that Hanzo's taijutsu was more powerful than what his teacher Sarutobi Hiruzen told him. Just as Hanzo was about to take advantage of the victory, Tsunade's attack arrived. The figure leaped high with unmatched strength and slammed heavily into Hanzo. The strange power burst out instantly, and Hanzo raised the sickle in his hand in time to resist, but under Tsunade's huge power, his legs were directly smashed into the earth wall just built by the Konoha ninjas. The air waves generated by the intersection of the fist and the sickle spread out instantly, and the heavy rain seemed to stop at that moment. Tsunade used the force to jump into the air again, adjusting her body shape, raising her right leg high, and a large amount of chakra gathered in her right foot. Super strength, painful kick. Tsunade's right foot landed heavily on where Hanzo was. With a loud bang, the earth wall cracked instantly and thick smoke and dust scattered instantly, but Hanzo had already used the instant body movement technique to leave the spot before being hit. Hanzo's figure appeared not far away, but was predicted by Jiraiya who arrived. Ninpo technique, the technique of random lion's hair. Jiraiya's white hair quickly grew longer under the effect of chakra, forming a shape similar to a lion's head, and wrapped around Hanzo, but how could Hanzo be unprepared for Jiraiya? He casually threw out the chain, and it collided with Jiraiya's hair. Ha ha ha! You are worthy of being Sarutobi Hiruzen's disciple. You three come together. Hanzo laughed heroically, and his voice echoed throughout the battlefield. Seeing how brave their leader was, the Rain ninjas in the battle also burst out with their strongest fighting power. Although the Konoha ninjas had a deep foundation and were far more powerful than the Rain ninjas at the same level, Hanzo had brought all the elite ninjas from the Rain village who could still fight. In addition, the salamander Ibushi sprayed poison gas from time to time to assist the rain ninjas in their attacks. With their large numbers, the Konoha ninjas were beaten back and suffered heavy casualties. Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and Tsunade finally gathered together, ready to combine their strength to beat up Hanzo. Fire release big flame bullet. Jiraiya took the lead in launching the attack, spitting out a large ball of oil from his mouth, followed by the fire chakra that quickly ignited it. Under the heavy rain, only this form of fire chakra could have a certain power. Humph! Hanzo snorted coldly, the blade of the sickle flashing with cold light, reflecting Hanzo's eyes, cold and disdainful. He leaned forward slightly, took a step forward with his right foot, and also shifted his center of gravity to his right foot. His body deflected to the left, and at the same time, the sickle was placed across his chest to accumulate power. Swordsmanship, breaking through the air with a sword. As Hanzo's sickle slashed forward, a surge of sword energy emanated from the tip of the sickle, heading straight for Jiraiya's fire escape. The hot fireball was directly split by the sword energy, and the flames whistled past both sides of Hanzo's body. Chapter 147. Hanzo cut the fireball apart with one blow, then put his sickle aside and quickly formed seals with his hands. Water release, water dragon bullet technique. A ferocious water dragon appeared, roaring and rushing towards the three people. Hanzo's water escape was already powerful, and in this rainstorm, it was even more powerful. The three of them had no intention of taking it head-on or using ninjutsu to dodge. Orochimaru and Jiraiya both chose to use earth jutsu to bury their bodies deep underground, but Tsunade was not proficient in earth jutsu, so she jumped high in an oblique direction. But this was exactly what Hanzo had in mind. This was what he had been waiting for. He picked up the sickle, pointed it at Tsunade in the air, predicted her trajectory in the air, and swung it hard. The sickle drew a strange arc in the air and went straight towards Tsunade. Shimada. Tsunade was shocked. She didn't expect that the water dragon bullet was just a feint. The real killer move was waiting for her. Tsunade in the air had no place to gain leverage. Even if she twisted her body forcibly, she couldn't change the result of being killed by the sickle. Therefore, Tsunade could only watch in horror as the sickle got closer and closer to her. At this time, Orochimaru and Jiraiya, who had avoided the water dragon, had emerged from underground. Seeing this scene, how could they let Tsunade die in front of them? Ninja technique latent shadow multi-snake hand. Orochimaru stretched out both arms at the same time, and dozens of poisonous snakes emerged from his sleeves, grabbing the sickle thrown by Hanzo in time, preventing Tsunade from being cut in two. But Hanzo's attack was not over yet, his weapons were not just the sickle. The sound of chains colliding was heard, and Hanzo swung out the chain and quickly wrapped it around one of the poisonous snakes, then pulled it hard. Orochimaru suddenly felt a huge force coming, and his body involuntarily flew towards Hanzo's direction. Hanzo stepped forward quickly, caught the sickle, and slashed at Orochimaru. Sword technique, chain scythe double attack. The sharp sickle slashed across Orochimaru's waist, cutting him into two pieces in an instant. The two halves of Orochimaru's body flew out weakly, but under the influence of Hanzo's remaining force, they fell 20 or 30 meters away respectively. Fire release, fire dragon flame bullet. Jiraiya's attack followed, and the fire dragon rushed straight towards Hanzo. Jiraiya had great confidence in the ability of his best friend Orochimaru, and this attack could not kill him, so he predicted the timing of Hanzo's attack and used the fire escape attack on him when Hanzo was briefly stiff before launching the next attack. This time, Hanzo couldn't use his sword energy to disperse the fire dragon like he did just now. The fire dragon was already very close, so Hanzo put one hand in front of his chest, formed an unseal, and activated the instant body switching technique, avoiding the fire dragon and appearing on the other side. Ah! A cry of pain was heard. It was Orochimaru's voice. Orochimaru's upper body twisted strangely, then his mouth opened wide, followed by a hand extending from it, then another hand, then Orochimaru's wet head, and finally his entire body. A brand new and complete version of Orochimaru covered in mucus came out of his mouth, gasping for breath. This was Orochimaru's substitution technique. The three of them gathered together again, and none of them looked very happy. They didn't expect Hanzo to be so powerful. He didn't use any powerful ninjutsu, but with just a few effortless moves, the three of them fell into a disadvantage. Orochimaru even lost his life because of rescuing Tsunade. This special substitution technique of Orochimaru uses his own body as a substitute, and then creates a new self from the inside. It has a strong ability to protect its life and can almost avoid all forms of attack, but the consumption of chakra is a little high. Originally, this substitution technique was almost developed. After Orochimaru was beaten up by CG last time, Orochimaru had been developing this technique while recovering from his injuries, and finally succeeded in developing it before leading the team to launch this surprise attack. We need to break the situation as soon as possible. Tsunade looked around, looking at the miserable state of the Konoha ninjas, and said to her two companions, "Use that trick." The three of them looked at each other, then nodded together, and bit their fingers while spreading out at a certain distance. They began to form seals at the same time, Hai Su Yu Shen Wei. 5 seals were quickly drawn, and then the three of them slapped their hands hard on the ground together. Psychic art! Psychic art! Psychic art! A huge summoning magic circle spread on the ground, and the chakra of the 3 people was instantly drained away by a small half. Then 3 huge white smoke burst out above the battlefield, and 3 huge summoning beasts appeared under the feet of the 3 people. It was none other than the Manjusri from Ryokai Cave, Gamabunta from Mt Maiboku, and the slug from the Wet Bone Forest. Hanzo thought to himself that this was troublesome, but he was not afraid. So what if there were 3 huge summoned beasts? Hanzo was confident in his own strength and the ability of the salamander Ibuki. Hanzo called out to his summoned beast loudly, and soon, Ibushi came out of the ground and lifted Hanzo up. When the two sides confronted each other, the difference was obvious. The summoned beasts summoned by Orochimaru, Jiraiya and Tsunade were obviously smaller than the salamander Ibushi. The slug is okay, its size depends entirely on Tsunade's chakra amount, but Manja and Gamabunta are obviously still in the growth stage. Although their current sizes are also very large, there is still a certain gap compared to other large summoning beasts in Ryukadong and Myabokuzen that have reached their peak. The salamander Ifu opened his mouth wide, and a thick stream of poisonous purple smoke spewed out towards the 3 people and the summoned beasts under their feet. Faced with the incoming poisonous smoke, the 3 people once again chose different ways to deal with it. "Orochimaru, you must prepare 200 human sacrifices for me this time," Manshi said to Orochimaru fiercely. In the last battle with CG, Orochimaru had tricked him badly and almost ended his life. As Manshi finished speaking, it took Orochimaru with it and went into the ground. "Slug!" Tsunade called out hurriedly. "Understood. Lady Tsunade." The slug responded, and then used a move called Slug Big Split to split its body. Densely packed little slugs appeared on the battlefield, and then appeared on the shoulders of all the surviving Konoha ninjas, healing their injuries and helping them to briefly resist the poisonous smoke that was spreading to the entire battlefield. "Bunta! Use oil!" Jiraiya shouted loudly, and at the same time began to form seals with his hands. He chose to attack against attack, trying to evaporate the poisonous smoke with extremely high temperature flames. Gamabunta, who was under Jiraiya, raised his body slightly, puffed up his cheeks, then opened his mouth and spit out a thick stream of oil. At the same time, Jiraiya also spit out a huge ball of flame from his mouth. Fire style, toad oil flame bullet. The collision between oil and flame produced a violent reaction. The temperature of the flame rose rapidly, then the range expanded rapidly, and the color quickly changed from red to golden yellow. Chapter 148. When Hanzo saw Jiraiya and Bunta's combined fire escape technique, he couldn't help but be surprised that this white-haired boy actually knew this kind of ninjutsu. Hanzo signaled to Ibuki under his feet, and with a telepathic connection, Ibuki stopped spraying poisonous smoke and instead spit out a fierce stream of water. The water quickly spread and formed a wide water wall, stretching between the salamander Ibuki and Gamabunta. The flames hit the water and large amounts of white smoke rose up, temporarily obscuring the vision of everyone in the area. Jiraiya was not discouraged. He had already expected such an outcome. It didn't matter if his attack was ineffective, because the real killer moves were Mandrake and Orochimaru, who were waiting for an opportunity to launch a sneak attack underground. Jiraiya continued to make seals with his hands, trying to create a perfect opportunity for Orochimaru. Earth Escape Yellow Spring Marsh. Relying on the impression before his vision was blocked, Jiraiya created a huge swamp at the location of the salamander he had just seen. The ground was full of stagnant water, which in turn created great convenience for Jiraiya's ninjutsu. The scope of the swamp was beyond imagination, and the limbs of the salamander were deeply sunk into it, and it was trapped in the swamp and unable to move for a while. Manza and Orochimaru, who were lurking underground, saw an opportunity and immediately came out from underground. The swamp did not hinder the movement of snakes at all. Manza opened his bloody mouth and bit the salamander Ibuki. Jingfu didn't want to become the food of the 10,000 snakes, so he subconsciously spewed out a breath of poison. The 10,000 snakes didn't take it seriously at first, because it was poisonous and it also had this ability, but it was not afraid because it was a real poisonous snake. But who would have thought that a few seconds later, a large piece of the snake's skin that came into contact with the poisonous gas was corroded by the poisonous gas sprayed by the salamander Jingfu, causing the snake to scream in pain. The toxicity was far beyond the snake's tolerance. Seeing this, Orochimaru on the 10,000 snake's body suddenly contracted his golden snake pupils. He also did not expect that the toxicity of the salamander was so strong that even the 10,000 snakes could not resist it, so he quickly formed seals with his hands. Wind escape big breakthrough. A strong wind came out of his mouth, blowing away the remaining poison gas. At this time, the salamander Ibu had struggled out of the swamp. Before Orochimaru could make any further move, the cowardly Mandrake shook his body one last time to get Orochimaru away from the salamander and Hanzo, then he cancelled his summoning on his own initiative and turned into a wisp of white smoke and returned to the Ryokai cave. Orochimaru's face darkened. This Mangeki will be made into snake soup sooner or later. Gamabunta, who saw this scene from a distance, was also scared. He was still a young toad, and he hadn't found a female toad he liked yet, so he didn't want to die young. But he was not as shameless as Manja. Before leaving, he still informed Jiraiya, and then turned into a puff of white smoke and returned to Myaboka Mountain. Jiraiya did not blame Gamabunta. He knew that he had tried his best. After all, in terms of size, he was no match for the salamander. In terms of ninjutsu, his fire style was not powerful enough and was completely suppressed by the salamander's water style. His water style was not as powerful as the salamander's and could not gain the upper hand. It could be said that if he continued to fight, it would be useless except for constantly consuming Jiraiya's chakra. And if he was poisoned by the salamander, his life would probably be over. Whoosh! 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 Suddenly, there was a sound of breaking air, and several kunai with detonating tags tied to them flew towards Jiraiya. Tsunade appeared beside Jiraiya, stomped the ground heavily, and then lifted a huge rock from the ground to intercept all the flying detonating tags. Boom! A loud explosion was heard, and immediately, thick smoke enveloped the two of them. Take advantage of now. Hanzo quickly locked onto Tsunade's position. The ground instantly became soft, and countless detonating tags wrapped around Tsunade's legs. Tsunade was caught off guard and had no time to struggle and dodge. Her legs were about to be completely covered by the detonating tags. Fire release, exploding flame formation. At this time, Jiraiya, who realized something was wrong, took action in time. His white hair grew longer rapidly and pulled Tsunade to his side. The detonating tags that were originally wrapped around Tsunade's legs also followed her as she moved. Ninjutsu, Needle Jizo. Jiraiya hardened all his hair in time, wrapped himself and Tsunade inside, and resisted the explosion of the detonating tag. The flames and smoke from the explosions of countless detonating tags dissipated, and Hanzo, who thought he had won, was slightly startled. What? The white hair tightly wrapped around Jiraiya and Tsunade, and the two successfully survived the violent explosion just now. Ninja technique, hidden shadow snake hand. Orochimaru appeared at this time, with countless pythons tightly binding Hanzo, Jiraiya. Orochimaru's tired and hoarse voice came. Jiraiya understood immediately after hearing Orochimaru's call, and the hair that had just hardened could be used for attack. Ninja technique, 1000 needles. Densely packed needles shot at Hanzo crazily, water style, water instant body. Hanzo and the salamander Ibuki under his feet disappeared in an instant, leaving only a ball of clear water pierced by countless needles. Orochimaru suddenly felt something was wrong and hurriedly left the place, but Hanzo and salamander Ibuki suddenly appeared where he was just now, and fell to the ground with a bang. Fortunately, Orochimaru was more sensitive, otherwise he might have been crushed half to death. Jiraiya could no longer hold on, blood continued to flow from the corners of his mouth, his body softened instantly, and he collapsed to the ground, unable to exert any strength at all. In order to protect Tsunade, he took 80% of the explosion power of the detonation talisman alone. Not only was his skin burned by the explosion, but his internal organs were also injured. Tsunade hurriedly supported Jiraiya and put his arm on her shoulders. Sorry. You were hurt because of me. There was unspeakable guilt in her tone. What are you talking about? This degree of burns is not serious. Jiraiya tried to find the humor and forced a smile. He didn't want to show weakness in front of Tsunade, nor did he want Tsunade to see his weak side, and he didn't want Tsunade to feel guilty about him and feel like she owed him a favor. Orochimaru stood in front of the two of them and sighed helplessly, even our combined attack can't stop him. He really is worthy of being called the demigod of the ninja world. Is it the end? Jiraiya had an unwilling look on his face and there was some despair in his tone. Hanzo was too strong, so strong that even the three of them combined were no match for him. Chapter 149. At this time, the three of them supported each other and gasped for air. Although they had the help of the slugs summoned by Tsunade, they still had to consume some chakra to cover their bodies and resist the invasion of Hanzo's poison gas at all times. In addition, the summoning technique just now also consumed a lot of chakra, so the three of them had very little chakra left. Before the battle, the three of them were so confident that they could even defeat Salamander Hanzo by joining forces. At the very least, it should be a 50-50 situation. However, they did not expect that the facts gave the three of them a hard slap in the face. After getting severely beaten by Hanzo, the three of them had no choice but to face the reality. At this stage, they have not yet grown to their peak and are far from being Hanzo's opponent. With just the strength of Cage, the gap between them and Hanzo is simply unimaginable. On the battlefield, Konoha's ninjas were almost wiped out by the numerous Omegakure ninjas, and the few remaining ninjas were breathing more often than they were exhaling. However, Konoha is worthy of being the leader of the current ninja world. When they realized there was no hope of escape, the ninjas of Konoha began to fight desperately. Every Konoha ninja could basically take the lives of at least 5 Omegakure ninjas before death. In the end, although the ambush of Yuyin achieved brilliant results and was barely successful, it could only be said to be a tragic victory. The Yuyin ninja troops were also crippled by the dying counterattack of the Konoha ninjas, and more than half of the elite ninjas were killed. They no longer had enough capital to continue to participate in the next Ninja World War. Hanzo stood on top of the Sanchoyu Ibuki, looking down at Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and Tsunade, who were already at the end of their strength. He was constantly hesitating and weighing the pros and cons. Although the established strategic goal was achieved and the war with Konoha was won, with the three-front war, Konoha suffered such a huge loss in the Land of Rain. Even if Sarutobi Hiruzen wanted to take revenge, the other high-ranking officials of Konoha village and the ninja families would probably not support him to continue fighting with the Hidden Rain village. After all, there would be no benefit even if he continued to fight and won. However, the Hidden Rain village could no longer fight. Most of its elite ninjas were lost, and the consumption of supplies was too much for Hanzo to bear. The Rain country was also riddled with holes in the war and on the verge of collapse. If the fighting continued, the Hidden Rain village would probably have no future. Hanzo's eyes kept changing, and he finally made up his mind to let go of the 3 disciples of the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. Ordinary Konoha ninjas would die, but if he killed all of Sarutobi Hiruzen's disciples, Sarutobi Hiruzen might go crazy and drag Konoha to fight against Kirigakure to avenge his disciples. So, Hanzo said calmly to the 3 people below, "The war is over. You 3 are very strong. You can fight me to this extent and survive. I will spare your lives." Jiraiya was immediately furious when he heard this. He felt that Hanzo was mocking them, so he said stubbornly, "We don't need you to sympathize with us. We can still continue to fight." Orochimaru's face also looked ugly, but he didn't say anything. It's just that he never thought that one day he would have to rely on the charity of his enemies to survive. Jiraiya. Tsunade spoke up to stop Jiraiya from talking nonsense. What if Hanzo changed his mind and didn't want to let them go? Didn't they see Orochimaru standing beside them without saying a word? Then, from now on, I, Hanzo, will give you the title of Konoha Sunin. You can call yourselves Sunin from now on. This is what you have earned at the cost of your lives. Hanzo's tone was full of appreciation. As a demigod, he recognized the strength of the 3. At the same time, he also had his own thoughts. He also helped the 3 disciples of Sarutobi Hiruzen to become famous in the ninja world. He hoped that Sarutobi Hiruzen could give some help and send people to negotiate and sign the armistice agreement so that Kirigakure could get out of the quagmire of war. Yes, Hanzo no longer has enough capital to continue fighting. In this ninja world war that he started, he is ready to pack up and be the first to withdraw. Hanzo took the Rain ninjas away, leaving behind only corpses on the ground and the freshly minted 3 ninjas of Konoha who could no longer hold on and collapsed to the ground. Ah! Jiraiya sighed deeply and pursed his lips tightly. I really didn't expect this result. There was an indescribable decadence in his tone. The blow he suffered this time was too great, and his spiritual heart almost collapsed. The surprise attack force he led was ambushed and wiped out, and the three of them were beaten up by Hanzo. Hanzo is already very old, but we are still young. Orochimaru couldn't bear to see his good friend getting stuck in such a dead end, so he comforted him with words. Tsunade nodded and spoke as well. She had already sorted herself out. The future is ours. The war between Konoha village and Hidden Rain village is over. Konoha suffered heavy losses. Of the 1,500 elite ninjas, only 8 returned to the village. Except for the 3 ninjas of Konoha, the other 5 merely survived. Although Tsunade's treatment brought them back from the brink of death, they also lost their qualifications to continue to be a ninja. Konoha's reaction was just as Hanzo expected. The third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen weighed the pros and cons and was forced to end the war with the Hidden Rain village. However, in the end, Hanzo admitted that Konoha had won the war, but in exchange, he got a lot of resources and money from Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was pretending to be rich, which could be used to quickly restore the Hidden Rain village and the Land of Rain after the war. Sarutobi Hiruzen also had a lot of grievances, but he certainly didn't want this to happen. Being in his prime and full of ambition, he certainly wanted to continue fighting with the Hidden Rain village, but no one supported him. Even his friends and his own Sarutobi clan didn't want to continue fighting with Hanzo. The war on 3 fronts put Konoha under great pressure, and the various ninja clans were also afraid of losing another batch of elite ninjas. However, although he lost so many elite ninjas, fortunately, the 3 disciples he favored were not in any danger, and they even gained a certain fame in the ninja world in disguise. In addition, there were basically few ninjas from his Sarutobi clan among these ninjas, so his influence in the village was not greatly affected. Under pressure from other major ninja clans in the village, Sarutobi Hiruzen finally had no choice but to agree to Hanzo's ceasefire conditions. Although Konoha became the winner on the surface, it was also severely exploited by Hanzo at the same time. Chapter 150. After the ceasefire with the Hidden Rain village, Sarutobi Hiruzen was not idle either. He had received the news sent by Jiraiya through the communication frog of Myaboku Mountain, and he also knew that the main reason for this disastrous defeat was the leakage of information. So he immediately began a thorough investigation, and soon he found the cause of the crime, Danzo Shimura. However, Danzo was very cautious this time and did not leave any evidence. So even though Sarutobi Hiruzen had clearly confirmed that it was Danzo who did it, he could not find any evidence, and Danzo refused to admit it. In the end, Sarutobi Hiruzen, whose 3 disciples were safe and sound, chose to forgive his good friend. Sarutobi Hiruzen's act of sheltering also laid the seeds for Shimura Danzo's subsequent increasingly outrageous behavior. The home of the Kagaya clan. A young man in white clothes with 2 red dots between his eyebrows was lying lazily on the roof of his house, with his hands behind his head, looking up at the starry sky silently. The young man's name is Kagaya Kaze. He is the 3rd elder of the Kagaya clan and a jonin. At this moment, he is struggling with his conscience. What is a village, and what is a clan? Kagaya Kaze is the youngest son of the original 3rd elder of the Kagaya clan, and the last surviving member of the 3rd elder's lineage. As for why this is so, it all started with the story of Genji and Musashi. The 3rd elder's lineage and the 6th elder's lineage were once in-laws, so the relationship between the two is very close. After Kagaya Genji rose to power within the clan, the lineage of the 3rd elder was the first to show goodwill and followed closely behind Genji. However, things did not go as planned. Genji fell from the altar after being seriously injured and unable to recover, and finally missed the position of clan leader. Although he later consolidated his voice by marrying the daughter of the 6th elder, with the disappearance of the 6th elder, the course of things inevitably slipped into the abyss. After Kagaya Musashi successfully expelled Kagaya Genji's family, the lineage of the 3 elders who were close to the Hidden Mist village and had once followed Kagaya Genji fell into a situation of being madly suppressed. Unable to act openly, Kagaya Musashi continuously reduced the resources of the 3rd elder's lineage through various means, and continuously assigned various extremely dangerous tasks to the 3rd elder's lineage. Over a long period of time, the lineage of the 3rd elder has gradually changed from the 3rd largest branch of the Kagaya clan to a group of only a few big and small cats, and now only Kagaya Fu is left. 5 years ago, after his father, the former 3rd elder, died of depression, Kagaya Fu became the new 3rd elder of the Kagaya clan. Fortunately, Kagaya Kaze's talent is acceptable. At the age of 26, he is already a powerful elite jonin in physical skills. Otherwise, if he is not strong enough, he might not even be able to keep his position as an elder. Ever since Kagaya Musashi decided to cooperate with Black Zetsu to carry out an armed coup some time ago, those members of the Kagaya clan who obeyed Kagaya Musashi began to become restless, and have begun to quietly accumulate strength, waiting for the opportunity to return to the Hidden Mist Village and then help the clan leader Kagaya Musashi ascend to the throne of Mizukage in one fell swoop. As the third elder, although Kagaya was not liked by Kagaya Musashi, he was still a member of the Kagaya clan's senior leadership. Therefore, he certainly knew the news that Kagaya Musashi was preparing for a coup. Kagaya Musashi was confident that he had already grasped most of the power of the Kagaya clan. Even if there were a few clan members who disagreed with him, they had no way or not enough power to oppose it under the general trend of the times. However, he ignored the third elder, Kagaya. As the only descendant of the third elder's lineage, Kagaya has been simple and easy to understand over the years. He has never had any extraordinary behavior or remarks, nor has he ever expressed any intention of winning over other members of the clan. He just silently carried out various difficult tasks assigned by the family. These low-key behaviors gradually confused Kagaya Musashi. Therefore, in recent years, Kagaya Musashi, who has become more and more influential in the Kagaya clan, relaxed his vigilance against the third elder who looked harmless and had no rebellious intentions towards him. When Kagaya was young, the Kagaya clan still lived in the Hidden Mist Village. Kagaya, who had been taught by her father and older brothers and sisters since childhood, had a strong sense of identification with the Hidden Mist Village. He still remembered what his father and brother said to him when he was a child after they returned from the battlefield during the last Ninja World War, although he didn't quite understand what they meant at the time. As ninjas of the Kagaya clan, their purpose of participating in the Ninja World War was to protect the Hidden Mist Village from being harmed again, and to fight for the rights and status that the Hidden Mist Village deserves in the ninja world. As one of the founding families of the village, the Kagaya clan should fight for the Hidden Mist Village. Although the Kagaya clan came first and the Hidden Mist Village came later, under the current system of one country and one village, how can there be a clan without a village? Therefore, even though the Kagaya clan, led by the ambitious Kagaya Musashi, had fallen out with the Hidden Mist Village and moved away from the village, those Kagaya clan members who had made great contributions to the establishment of the village always considered themselves to be members of the village. Although most of these clan members had been persecuted by Kagaya Musashi in various ways, Kagaya Musashi could not control all of them 100%. Therefore, there were still some clan members who were loyal to the Hidden Mist Village who survived, and Kagaya was the only senior member among these clan members who could access various information within the clan. His thoughts kept wandering, as if he was looking for a ray of light in the endless darkness. As time passed, the figures of his clansmen kept appearing in Kagaya Feng's mind. Those who had laughed, fought, and lived with him were all members of the Kagaya clan. He couldn't just watch them die with Kagaya Musashi's ambition. The Kagaya clan is the Kagaya clan of all the clan members, not just the Kagaya clan of Kagaya Musashi alone. As time went by, Kagaya's eyes gradually became firm. He knew he had to make a choice that could save the Kagaya clan. This choice might cost the Kagaya clan a huge price, but he was willing to take this responsibility. Because he knew that if he didn't try, then under the leadership of the crazy Kagaya Musashi, the Kagaya clan would be doomed to destruction. Taking advantage of an opportunity to go out on a family mission, Kagaya carefully checked that no one was following her, so she took a detour to the Hidden Mist Village and headed straight for the Mizukage building.